It is almost the pre-show ritual, though, as you have to like joke and get some of the bullshit out and get the laughs going, because that sets you in the energy to actually do a good show. If you try to jump in cold, it's like when you don't let your car warm up and then you get stranded in Portugal.
I imagine Portugal really has a problem with freezing cars.
It's got to, right? It's
clearly.
it's far from the equator. Where is Portugal? Google, where is Portugal? Portugal equator. Portugal is quite far from the equator. Okay.
Isn't that next to Brazil?
We're gonna sound like a bunch of fucking ignorant Americans on this.
Oh yeah.
No. Portugal's actually it's over by Portugal's actually over by Spain. This is a bit. But if you pull out a map,
I legitimately was like, man, I don't actually know if Cohost is any good at geography.
If you pulled out a map, look, I'm saying if you pulled out a map and we're like, all right, which one which one of these is Portugal? I am probably going to get it wrong, but I'll be close. It's not the one that's shaped like a boot.
Yeah, that's Greece.
True.
Yep, that's the important part.
You sure?
In the first aeon, I was the Great Spirit. In the second aeon, men knew me as the Horned God, Pangenitor, Panphage. In the third aeon, I was the Dark One, the Devil. In the fourth aeon, men knew me not, for I am the Hidden One. In the fifth aeon, I appeared before you as Baphomet, the god before all gods who shall endure to the end of the earth. In this new aeon, I appear to you as CMN.
Imagine that there is a brilliant white light just above.
Is commentary on the magic art.
In the years of the primal force and the dawn of terrestrial birth.
Oh, that was very educational.
Now magic will take place. Don't be fooled by what I just said.
Welcome, everyone. I am Stigmatization Kennedy, and this is Chaos Magic News. Killing them with Cobra kindness. Joining me is my sporting co-host, John Claude Van Morrison. Yeah, how you doing, Morrison?
Oh, God.
You really don't like this week, do you?
I don't have that's the problem with these names sometimes, is every once in a while you'll give me one and I'm like, I've got a joke here. I've got one for this. How do I follow that one up?
I don't know.
I do the accent, I guess.
What is John Claude Van Damme's accent like?
It's not going to be a good accent. It's going to be like, no, you're basically doing Arnold. That is, that's way off. But like, I'm not good with accents. So,
well, you've let down the listeners and me. So the only way to get over my disappointment is to let everyone know that we got Brookehouse back. Yay! Brookehouse, how are you?
Oh, I'm vibing. How are you?
I am also vibing. We've all agreed beforehand. It's been a very long week. A lot of the big sad, a lot of just big stresses, and we've also all agreed that we need to get hench. So we're just vibing this episode. Just no plan, nothing big to talk about. We're gonna vibe. No thoughts.
We're already sharing one brain cell, so we're just gonna, everybody take a break. So
Mom said it's my turn with the brain cell.
Yeah, that's where we're at this week. Get hench and get bimbo.
No thoughts.
No thoughts, only gains.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, that's gonna be the motto. It's like that's how we're gonna get through the winter. Like seasonal affective disorder. No thoughts, only gains.
You can't feel the cold when you have that.
The sun on the equinox, March 21st, just like flexing. Like, God damn, yes, we are ready for the warm season now.
You tell yourself, it's like, if you want the summer body, you start in winter, and then so you're just gonna be fucking built.
All the times that I've been in the best shape of my life have been like me going, it's cold, it's nice, it's cool, I can work out without just being entirely made of sweat. So I'm always like in a lot better shape in the winter, which I understand this is something I could avoid with a gym membership, but like I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to pay money.
Why pay money for something you can do in your living room? Because
well, yeah,
they
just
have
pick up that couch.
the cool equipment there. Yeah, exactly, right? Like
Just bench
that's how
that
you do it.
couch. It's it's not heavy enough. Get somebody to sit on it.
There
You see, it's because the problem is you guys are thinking. If you just do what feels right, it'll make sense. And like, I didn't even need to think. I'm like, I saw the couch and I instantly knew
that I had
curls.
Curls. Wait a minute, what? You're curling the couch. Okay, I was gonna say bench, but wow, I'm impressed.
We'll get to that later.
Everything in my house will be used as equipment at some point. I will get to it. I promise.
If it can fit in my hands, I will do something with it.
This is the way, really. Like, you know, that's how you get to physical fitness. That's how you get to physical prowess. Like you look at what you have around you. It's going to be topical later on. No spoilers, but like,
and then that gets you
just
spiritual prowess.
You look at what's in your environment and you learn how to work with it. And this works, you know, spiritually and from a physical fitness standpoint and from a martial perspective. Just like, you know, to that guy, it looks like a pencil, but to you, it looks like a temple stabbing object. You just like, you gotta rearrange someone's brain. You gotta forcibly bimbify this person.
Oh my god!
Oh my god!
That's
awesome.
Video, but it's just a lobotomy.
Oh man! No, I love that term though, because I've been looking for a replacement for like, you know, exiting the game or whatever, kind of like getting around the censorship to say the bad words. So we're gonna do forcibly bimbifying.
I really feel like I'm innovating this week. We're off to a great start.
Oh yeah.
Yep. All from the power of not thinking.
It's like dragon pills taken to the next level.
Oh yeah.
Leveled up, guys.
We've got it. Yep. This is the evolution. CMN. We're evolving just backwards.
We did have an actual opening discussion, maybe.
Please enlighten me, because I've stopped thinking about it.
All right. Wanted to talk a little bit about the concept of what was the word you used, the interceders or the
intermediaries.
Intercession, yeah.
Yeah, the intercession and the intermediaries, the spiritual middlemen of not just occult practice, but you know, religion in general. Reading the Moon and Serpent bumper book gave me a good snippet about this, because it made the point that as we went from these animistic cultures where, you know, the rock had a spirit, the tree had a spirit, there were, you know, spirits were both immediate and conducive to be worked with, right? If you had an issue with the land, you could go and talk to the spirit of the land. You could entice the land to do something or tell you something. But as we go from everything's full of ghosts to the broader sense of deities that represent certain ideas or a certain city in a specific area, those sort of things, they become more abstracted, but simultaneously more powerful. But the drawback is that by getting more abstract and more powerful, it becomes a little awkward to ask them where your car keys are, you know? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
The idea of like, once a god is a spirit or a god might start off as like, well, this was somebody that we bothered to try to keep up with, like fish. Now it's a god that represents sort of the oceanic wilderness and the vitality of nature and stuff like that. So you know, you don't really, you know, he becomes a god that you're almost more concerned with keeping him happy so that he doesn't destroy you, rather than like asking him for shit. To fill the vacuum, different types of entities start popping up, namely like angels for the monotheistic religions, or demons. Well, this is a particular spiritual critter that you can bother for an issue, rather than like asking the one most high and ineffable one to I don't know, get you out of a parking ticket or something.
Part of this, I think, that's kind of lost on us, at least in the way you're framing it, and maybe this is just the words you're using rather than how you're actually thinking here. But
I'm not thinking.
oh, right, my bad.
Don't put that evil on me.
There's a sense of there's sort of like a mundane sensibility to the way we're going about this, because a lot of the things that are associated with various gods and other little spiritual entities were things that maybe were a lot more central to life or specific to life at the historical moment that they're in. A lot of our dealings with like nature spirits or even like folk magic-y relations to like nature and stuff, like hell, like what's it, the powwowing where you can like heal someone's warts with a potato and stuff. A lot of those sorts of practices just come from the fact that at the time these were the things that were around us and we were able to deal with them. It's like, why are you going to ask like some random spooky little thing in the woods to like get you a wife or something like that by putting a pot of honey out for it? Well, because you can get honey and you know that the woods is kind of weird and creepy and you feel like there's probably things in there that could do stuff and maybe you could bribe them. Or like there's just lots of weird little problems that we have in the modern age that don't fit so well into this. But you would imagine that we would have to, like, if we were still in the habit of making up these creatures, we would have to have like, oh yeah, that's like the saint of, like we said, like bad Wi-Fi signal. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, and I can even see like for just a quick example, when we're talking these polytheistic gods, a lot of gods that would hold a big prominent spot are things that are sort of outdated. Like Hephaestus, for example, is a god of the forge, right?
Right.
Which you could make the argument that it's like, well, like the like a forge god would arguably be super important in an industrial, economy or something like that. But the notion of like the blacksmith who stood over the anvil, like that is very much out of fashion now. So in a way, he's sort of like, he represents a very archaic space of prominence that at the time was just probably a really big deal, but now it's a little like, I wouldn't know how to quelch a big Bernie sword if you paid. You see, the way I've described it already shows you I have no idea what the fuck I'm talking about. I just know like you bang on the metal and it shapes it, and you got to do a lot to put like an edge on it. It's bad.
Okay, so we basically, this is just like, there's there's the whole kit and caboodle, the whole shebang, and it's this great big vast thing, and we can tell there's some kind of mechanism to it, and so we're trying to find something that like you can talk to and be like, hey, I don't understand how this whole fucking mechanism works, but you seem to know how to jump around in the back rooms of the mechanism and talk to the right people. Can you find those people, find that a chain of command, and get them to tell me where my fucking car keys are?
Yeah, exactly.
So like,
and
there's
that's
that, but then like, and then I have to seize on this because like my brain went there. Then you have things that are not explicitly like a single entity precisely, but it is a thing that definitely seems to be there. And I feel like the most obvious example of this right now is the cat distribution network, which just seems to just like I have been hit by this thing repeatedly. Like, this is basically how I've gotten every cat I've ever lived with. And Cohost has just been visited by the cat distribution network. And like, we were literally, before doing all this, we were talking about how it's just like, the universe presented you with the entire litter, and you're like, oh no, I can't do that. That's too much. And then like,
wait, time out. For the people that aren't aware of the Cohost cat saga, do we want to give like the briefest of rundowns?
I will give the short version. All right. I found a litter of kittens, like feral kittens, at my workplace. I had to fish them out of an area that they could not stay in because it's dangerous. I'm seeing 5 of them, and I have like a really hard time because I am just heartbroken, thinking I can't handle all of these things. I made a little nest for them, put them in an area that was right by where they were, where they couldn't get back into it, where they'd be safe and they weren't going to like freeze to death. And I hoped that Mama Cat was going to come back and get them. I go back the next day to check on them, and all of them are gone except for one of them. And it's like, well, now I have to. Even after giving it a couple more hours, see if Mama was going to maybe Mama was coming for that one last or something like that. It became very clear that this one had been abandoned. And it was that feeling of like, well, I was so concerned, like, oh, there's no way I can do 5. But it's like, all right, you said you couldn't do 5. Here, this is just one. This is one kitten. You better, you can handle one kitten. So her name is Bast, and it's short for Bast Pro Shop. And we're just, she's going to be the new CMN mascot, I guess. It's probably what's going to happen.
See, so there you go. Like
Yeah.
the universal system, we don't understand the mechanism, but the mechanism knows how to fuck with us just as we know how to fuck with it. So it's this conversation back and forth. The mechanism went, oh, look, here's 5. And you went, oh shit, no, I can't do 5. They're adorable. No. I love them, but I can't do 5. And so I'm like, okay, well, but how about 1? And you're like, yeah, okay, I can do 1.
Oh, fine.
So like it's not a like, we call it the cat distribution network. That's the running joke in, meme culture. Yeah. We periodically, if you're a cat person, you get hit, and it will be goofy shit like this. And this is the vast interplay of the universe, and sometimes the smaller mechanism is not a specific entity that you name and appeal to, like, oh, great cat distribution network. Like, it's not like, summoning Saint Expedite. It's just like, it's this force of nature that passes through periodically and leaves a cat basically on your doorstep.
Yeah. And you know what? Maybe that's in a weird way, maybe even like the fact that it had to leave the one cat, like that was the price. It's like, all right, if you want these things to be taken care of, you got to bite the bullet. You're going to have to, you ain't going to take care of all of them. You don't have to. Like, Mama's going to come back for 4 of them.
But you got to take the
little one, buddy. If you care that much, if you're just sad because like, oh, it's so sad, then you need to just shut up right now. But if you actually care, this is the bargain. You're going to take this last one.
All right.
Like, and who fucking knows what greater interplay this could be part of. And this is, getting very galaxy brain about it. Just like, here you now have this new little life in your life. And who knows, like, the domino effect that spins off from this.
What will be the lasting ramifications of this? Who knows?
Yeah. Like, right now, it's just a kitten that you found at work, and eventually it's going to be a part of something else. A part of the greater mythos of Cohost.
Okay. Part of the great part of the CMN lore.
Yes.
But
no, seriously though, one day that cat could be president. Sorry, go ahead.
That cat is going to be what helps to stave off the rat boy in your heart.
Oh my god. We were trying to contain the rat boy to that one episode.
Oh no, I didn't even. Oh boy. There's a Bast and the rat boy are raging inside me. Oh boy. Okay. But you mentioned Saint Expedite as an example, and that's actually a lot closer to the sort of stuff we're talking about, because saints, particularly like the Catholic saints that seem to have, there's a joke, there's a saint for everything. It's like, whatever your problem is, look it up. The Catholic Church has a saint for it. The Goetia is another really good example of this, where it's like there's the 72 demons of the traditional Lesser Key of Solomon stuff. But when you look, it's like they've got some very odd ones. Oh, you want to learn about like precious gems? Well, just summon a demon. You want to know about or then it's like weird shit where it's like, this demon is good at sending bolts of lightning to people's houses that you don't like. And it's like, man, I'm sure that is a problem that has probably come up somewhere. But it's very odd that you have that written down specifically. Like, no, lightning bolt on the house. Not just like, oh,
it means
we'll start
that someone used it effectively at some point. They're like, I don't know why, but every time I call this guy up and say, I don't like that fucker, that person's house burns down in a lightning strike.
it's like, man, I started just doing it for different stuff, but every time it was like, nope, it didn't matter what I asked for. He just sent a lightning bolt. I was like, hey,
It just does that. It does it. That's all it does. It's just lightning bolt. That's the only spell he knows.
My buddy Phil needed some help making his rent, and I called on oh god, I'm trying to remember which demon it was now. But I called on Fulgur, and it turns out all he does is the lightning.
I think here are just some random polls. Let's see. Gamigan teaches all liberal sciences and gives an account of the souls of those who died in sin and who drowned in the sea. Don't tell me that's not a weird combination. It's like, oh yeah, I will teach you about aesthetics, and here's the story of Timmy who drowned over in Lake Michigan.
And also about this guy who died pursuing people like Timmy.
Right, yeah.
Just like,
Yeah, he went to
he's a
go
bad
get
person,
him.
but like I know about him, and I happen to know about Timmy. It's just like that's very niche interests.
Right,
These
yeah.
demons have extremely this is like
They're kinda
bordering
nerds.
on autistic special interests over here. Just like extreme obsession
Oh, boy.
with like weird murders and also just people with massive criminal records.
God, the demon when I get to when I ask him about his special interest and he gets to info dump on me.
Stolas just be like, I'm so glad you asked about astrology.
Just realize like this is actually the worst connection to be making because there is like massive stigma of like autistic people and demons.
Oh, we're calling them
and shit. It's
demons.
like,
Oh no.
no,
You heard it
it's
here,
the other
folks.
way around. Demons behave
Demons are good.
like autistic people are not demons.
You heard it here, folks.
Jesus
Autistic
Christ.
people are demons.
Canceled.
Abort the podcast.
This is the problem with bimbofication.
Oh no, we didn't think about the ramifications because we weren't
Forgot
thinking.
about the Rammies, bro.
All right, just to end this out on, I guess, unless co-host, you got anything else you want to throw on this fire?
I am curious because and this might be something that the more academic leaning presenters and personalities of occultism might have a better grasp of than me. And maybe you can look this up and people have, someone like Esoterica has done a video on it.
Oh, poor Esoterica.
He's fine.
You can't listen to the theme song anymore.
You can't hear the theme song anymore. Look. That's fucking bullshit. All right. We already know it. Maybe there is a saint or a demon that he can call on for this very strangely specific issue.
I missed this. Why can't you hear the theme song anymore?
Fucking
they
automated
commissioned
copyright systems on
wasn't
YouTube.
it?
It's fucking stupid.
Yeah, it's like an automated AI copyright thing struck down a piece he commissioned.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fucking terrible, but like YouTube is terrible, so that doesn't surprise me. But the question I have is, in what way did these types of interceders, intermediaries, in what way did these people pop up? Because on the other hand, like a lot of the times with demons, angels, these sort of things, you'll find they represented a deity that had some prominence in a culture that was subsumed into a larger one, in the same way that a lot of the iconography of paganism gets incorporated into the Catholic Church. And or another example of like how like Santeria and stuff like that uses the saint imagery to show their particular spirits and entities that they work with. So I'm curious, because they're like the monotheistic gods, like you get it. That's like the one, that's the all, that's that's Kether right at the top, the big, the big oneness, has no ascribable qualities. So then you have to have a whole host of like people that do the paperwork for them. I get that concept, but I want to know how these people got here. And in the Western occult, that kind of makes sense because you'll have people that like they're totally down with the idea of the one, that sort of source, whatever. And then they'll screw around with all of the different gods because like, oh, these are representatives or manifestations or part of the emanation from the one. In a culture that went from somewhere along the line, you talked to the ocean spirit, how did we get to the point where there's a demon who he's going to help you with your poetry exam, but also here's Bobby Bootstrap. He fell from the crow's nest and just like bam, straight into the water, and no one ever heard from him again. Here is his really sad story.
I will quickly give you my thoughts on that just because I have an idea, because I think you already kind of answered yourself without realizing it. I think it does come from the subsuming of we'll just say like Socratic or post-Platonic type of thought into like the Christian theology, particularly like Aristotle getting brought into the church. It just turns on its head. It goes from being gods themselves to being just intermediaries and hierarchies between the manifest world and God himself, the ineffable, and so on. Yeah, I'm not sure how it comes about culturally, at least. I think that's where it comes from, like particularly
You do what now?
theologically.
You think?
Oh,
You better
damn
cut-
it.
You cut that out
I already
right now,
fucked
all right?
up. All right.
Now that's where we got to end it. All right, you start before you start using your brain again.
Okay. Now it's time for everyone's favorite segment of the show where no one thinks at all.
Which part is that?
We're doing it.
Just do it. Just do it.
Fine. It's the part where we roll up our sleeves and we ask ourselves, what's in the
All right, stop milking it.
Okay, I'm sorry.
What is in the news indeed? Okay, where to start?
God,
It's been a
where
fun
to
week.
fucking begin.
Jeez, really, where do we start? You know, some weeks we know exactly what we're going to talk about, and some weeks we are just we're in an embarrassment of riches for headlines right now. How about we touch on the simple one first? Because
Pop.
oh no, I was actually now let's just go with that. Go with that.
All right. Okay, if you've been living under a rock, the CEO of United Healthcare, Brian Thompson, was shot and killed outside of a hotel in the middle of Manhattan. As of right now, the shooter, who, despite being caught on camera and making a getaway on a bicycle, has eluded capture, possibly made it out of the state. a very tactically thought out and executed attack. It was tight enough that there was always the real possibility, and I suppose there still is, that this was like a professional hit, like that sort of thing. It seems like it's leaning towards someone that this was an attack of ideological revenge for the very unethical practices of United Healthcare. Notably, there was a fiasco involving the use of AI to auto deny claims and stuff like that. And I don't know if anyone noticed, but this man is essentially being lauded as almost a folk hero.
Yeah, people are actively celebrating this man.
Yeah, and you know, I don't want to come out here and tap dance that somebody got shot and like, oh, it was a bad guy that died, because that doesn't solve the problem. This guy is going to be replaced by someone who's going to do the same stuff. If you have a problem with the way that these operate, this is not any real solution. It might feel good, and as people have discussed, we have a fascination with these sort of outlaws that we view as like the John Dillingers or the Jesse James, like burning people's mortgage papers while they're in the bank and stuff like that. You know, the idea of these pseudo Robin Hood type figures. And I'm not going to tell anybody that you have to cry over this man who who was the CEO of a company that probably did awful things. Healthcare is a big deal in this country, and most of us are going to go into debt or die or both. You know, that's the situation for America. And it's a sham. It's a fucking racket. It's disgusting. I think you can take most people off the street and ask them that shit, and they think, yeah, our healthcare system's fucking disgusting. It's fucked.
You know, I think it's incredibly telling that I have yet to hear anyone try to defend Mr. Brian Thompson as like just doing his job and being a good guy, and you can't believe that you would do something to the poor health insurance company CEO. I'm sure someone's made the argument, right? You know, and I'm sure there are probably even talking heads on mainstream media making that argument, but just in conversation, no one has said that. No one has like it goes without saying that everyone thinks that what this guy did as for a living was awful and horrible, and these people are bad. Like, that's not an argument. Like, people aren't there are people that will say that he didn't deserve to die. There are people that will say, you know, he's not really the problem and he didn't really do anything. It's the, you know, the insurance industry. And you'll even find people that are like, you know, well, like you just said, you're like this isn't going to solve anything, so we shouldn't just murder somebody. But no one has said that, oh man, it's, you know, and the part that they're not saying they're not saying the real what they really think out loud. What everyone's really saying is that, yeah, I kind of understand why you would kill a CEO of an health insurance company. They're all they're without saying it, they're all acknowledging that they entirely get that this man
this was an incredible.
He was
what this man did and what he represented were things that were despised by a large swath of the population.
Like, even Ben Shapiro, like, he had made some video clip about just like, oh, this is terrible, the left is celebrating, and then like even his own comment section is like, it's not just the left, dude.
Yeah,
where the hell are you?
It's not just the left. Stop lying. You know, stop trying to pin this all on the left. People hated this guy.
Well, I mean, what it's very clearly to me, at least, is just it's a class thing, right? Because I've seen so many people on, you know, of various extreme political positions, and the extreme political positions are overwhelmingly working class people because they're the easiest ones to propagandize. You know, guilty there, but the point being that, like, you know, the far right wing people are you know, the 4chan chuds are fucking loving this shit, and then all the blue sky people are up in arms about it. They love it. They're so damn happy that something like this could happen. And the only people that are, you know, being like, oh, this is a tragedy, are people who went to Yale, you know, or Berkeley, you know, that sort of shit.
Here's the thing. Here's the part that I will say about it is that I completely understand the perspective of someone who would say, I don't want to live in a society where the answers that we end up with are just trying to kill people that we think are doing bad things. You know, no judge, no laws, no nothing. Just somebody comes out with a gun and shoots them in the head. And that's how we fix stuff, because that's very French Revolution, you know, the idea of we just keep cutting heads off. And that it's the type of political position that you maintain when you're not really about doing anything. I hate to be super critical about it, but it's like, it's really easy to say stuff like that when you are essentially a political defeatist. Your entire idea of politics is that everybody's awful and everything's fucked, and nothing that you say really matters because nothing is going to change.
Right, but that's the sort of mentality that would lead to extreme violence anyway. Because you end up kind of nihilist about it, or you end up like Ted Kaczynski, where you're like, you know, this is the only possible solution is to do something incredibly crazy.
Well, and that's what I'm getting at, is that there are like anybody who would, there are people that will bristle at this and say, you know, this is fucked up, that are not just like deluded idiots. You know, I'm not going to tell somebody that they're wrong for saying that I don't think the solution is just capping people, you know?
Oh, right. Yeah.
I
agree.
Like I said, I don't think that this isn't going to fix anything in the long term. We can point out one funny thing. Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield said that they weren't going to be paying for anesthesia past a certain amount, depending on the procedure. And they reversed that position after this happened.
Admittedly, they were already being dragged everywhere.
Well, yeah, because it's evil.
It's stupid and it's evil and
dumb
it's like,
and evil.
Who thought they were going to get away with it?
Yeah. But even then, it at least it also illustrates the kind of pushback that companies like this, like insurance companies, are almost universally reviled. I don't think that's controversial. Like, people don't like their insurance companies. Even if you have good insurance, you don't like your insurance company. They represent somebody that you give money to on a constant basis. And then when you go to ask for it, they have a motive, a profit motivation to try to not do it because they don't want to give you they don't want to spend any of the money you gave them. Insurance is a racket. I totally understand why people would be going like, this guy is a John Dillinger.
Well, I think it says something that it's been how many days now and we still haven't found him? No one's heard anything. You can't tell me that people aren't helping him at this point. You know what I mean? Like, you can't tell me that.
There's already people that are like, there's loads of people that are like, if you see this guy, no, you didn't.
I wish I could be that guy. Tired of getting recognized in public.
If we just keep real quiet, it'll make him feel worse. Bro, we talked too much. That's what, whenever I listen back to these episodes, like, we talk over people when we have them on. What do you think about this story?
What do I think?
Fuck.
I think we should not be stochasticizing the eschaton. So just like, shooting people is very bad and shouldn't be done. And also, I'm not saying do that. That's bad. But also, I get it. Like,
I mean,
I understand why someone decided, you know what? This sounds like a good answer today. I feel like just, start somewhere. And we're starting with this guy. Like, this seems like a really obvious place to start.
Well, the other thing I keep thinking about is I keep comparing it to Shinzo Abe in Japan getting shot. Like, I guarantee you that's what it's going to be like. If you guys don't remember, Shinzo Abe, Prime Minister of Japan, got like shot by a guy with like a homemade
car
gun.
battery. And he had a car battery and one of those like ninja food blenders.
Yeah, he like MacGyvered a gun,
like a bag of thumbtacks, and like a Zippo that his uncle gave him back from the war. And he
assassinated a prime minister,
and he assassinated. Yeah.
Right. Well, but his motivation for it was that Shinzo Abe had connections to the Moonies. If you don't know about them, we talked about them briefly in a
that's
episode.
Right, we did.
Was it last episode? Or the episode before that? Okay, there we go. Either way, but yeah, they're a South Korean cult. But Shinzo Abe has connections to him, and his mother, the mother of the assassin, had basically given all of her money, her life savings, everything to the Moonies, and the assassin did it as an act of revenge for that. And I guarantee you it's probably going to be a lot more cut and dry than that for this guy. But it's someone he cared about, or maybe even himself. He might be dying or something like that. But somebody was denied coverage and they either died or they are dying. And he said, fuck it, I'm going to go take him out. I don't think, I mean, it's possible that he's just like a real radical political guy, but I get the feeling that it's going to be another one of those stories of just sad, just some poor old lady, his mama got cancer and they denied her treatment. And he was like, well, you know what? This is my solution then. All right, everyone, here's your first addendum. Let's just get it out of the way. Suspected murderer was caught. His name was Ludovico Mascarpone. His motivation was that he's Italian and Italians don't agree with healthcare. Legitimately, everyone has heard all the stories. We'll talk more about this on the next episode, but his name is Luigi Mangione. He has been captured. His motivation seems to be related to his own terrible experiences with the healthcare industry and a distaste for them. He's been charged with murder and extradited to New York.
Yeah. Actually, I do have one thing I can add on at the end of this, is that if one person can cause such a stir and a fear in people, imagine what you could do when you organized. And I don't mean organized to go out and shoot people.
Oh, thank God for clarifying.
Yeah.
We were about to. That was not going to be good for the people that listen to this episode. Everyone on a watch
genuinely.
list, all of you.
Genuinely, imagine if the idea is that one person doing an act that ultimately will not change the underlying problem. We could better serve ourselves by organizing and making genuine demands that could actually change things. That is always the thing I will go back to, is that if acts like this could really fix things, they would happen more, I guess. I don't know. I'm not sure. But like stuff like this isn't going to change. It's when Trump got shot at, you know? Even if he had died, it would have made things worse, you know? You can't tell me that if that had happened, America specifically wouldn't have been plunged into fucking madness.
I don't know. I mean, I guess that's a good a segue as any. You want to talk about like madness? The Trump campaign has essentially put up just a scatter shot of what the fuck candidates for any possible position you can imagine.
Aren't they like mostly billionaires too?
Give me a position. I will tell you who the Trump team nominated and why that's just batshit insane.
Secretary of Education.
Oh yeah, Linda McMahon got to be Secretary of Education. Linda McMahon, the wrestling lady.
Is he going to pardon Vince?
I think so. I really do.
Biden pardoned his son. I think Trump should just pardon Vince McMahon and then make his return to Monday nights.
The president of the United States just showing up and on SmackDown.
Yeah, like what's not to love? It's good for the country. It's good for morale. You know,
oh my
good
God.
for the boys.
No. Right. He tried to make Matt Gaetz the attorney general, right? Was that what it was?
Yeah, and they basically were like, no.
Yeah, they straight up they told him no.
I'm
and that
curious.
seems to be the pattern. It seems to
he
be
had
like
to resign I think he resigned right before all this happened too. So like I think he's going home. You know?
Oh man. Well,
he
good.
Voted off the island.
There's just lots of weird choices. It's mostly it's basically anyone that did Trump a favor is now getting a job, which is very similar to what it was in his first term. But this time it's like,
very Gilded Age 2.0.
Yeah, very much so.
It's just like, this is the problem with like, we should be running the country like a business. The problem with running a country like a business is like, you're no longer appointing qualified people. You're just appointing people who did somebody a favor.
Right, yeah. I mean,
and like there's no reason any of these people should be in any of these positions. They are, in some cases, some of the worst possible people you could choose.
Well, yeah, people that have no qualifications in the slightest. And then, of course, there's the whole Elon Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy running around with like a fake organization, like a meme organization.
Yeah, that's a whole other issue too. What's also just, I know I'm not the first one to say it, but it's like, it's really funny, the idea of a Bureau of Efficiency, and you put 2 people in charge of it. What happened? What's going on? It's like, what it is it's the clip off. When you get to the inverted bottom of the tree of death, it's fucking the 2 demons that sit upon the throne to represent the ultimate duality. Either of you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
listeners.
Yeah, it's
look
that
up
thing
Mathers
where like
on the clip off.
The brain just goes like, you know what, Bimbo.
Yeah,
Just
we're
pure
not
Bimbo.
thinking
Just
about it.
because like there's only so much of this that I can apply my brain to before I can feel myself starting to get the brain bees. And it's just like, no. You want to avoid brain bees? You gotta go Bimbo. And as soon as they do Bimbo, I'm just like, oh, I'm one with the universe again.
Everything's good again. It's all fine.
All right.
Oh man. Okay.
What else do we have?
Gonna have to cut out this awkward silence. Cutting out that awkward silence.
See, when you make jokes during the awkward silence, I leave it in.
Oh yeah. You know, I mentioned it in passing, but Joe Biden did pardon his son.
Yeah, I mean, people are in an uproar about it. Like, I feel like a lot of people are like, "Oh, I can't believe it. They're the scumbags. Like, how could he said he wasn't going to do it." And the just the practical part of me just goes like, you knew he was going to do it. Come on.
Genuine
Everyone
question.
knew that's his son. Come on.
Okay, if Trump didn't win, do you think he still pardons him?
Probably not. But like, I feel like if he won, he wouldn't feel like he had to.
Someone made the point about how just like the way they went after Hunter Biden was just so fucking extreme. And like anyone else doing the exact same shit would have not been hit nearly as hard. And so it was a way of lashing out at Biden through his kid. So just like from a very human perspective, fucking of course he's gonna pardon that shit. Just like you've already tortured the dude for however many fucking years this has been dragging on.
Yeah, I mean, I always feel like whenever you make the argument that it's like, oh, well, yeah, like, they're only going after him because he's Biden's kid, people get like really like, oh, no, but well, he still committed a crime, so what's the matter? It's like, well, yeah, but like you people, we all know these people are just, this is how they live. This is what the upper classes do. They all commit crimes. They all have fail sons like Hunter Biden, and most of them don't go to prison over it. They just get, they get shoved off into like a family-owned business somewhere.
Yeah, Ukraine. No, look. We did talk about this because we were at the point now where we have been doing the show long enough that we can look back when stories broke, pretty much. Because we were talking about the Hunter Biden. I mean, we made the joke. It's like the Republicans want to tax stay-at-home pharmacist and gun enthusiast and amateur cinematographer
Hunter Biden
over his laptop. But I really do agree. I agree with that 100%. And I think what we said, or it might have been in reference to something else, but it was just that sort of thing. Is like, what this is that it's tit for tat. It's just, oh, you're going to fuck with our guy, we're going to fuck with one of your guys.
Yeah, because they did it because of the Trump cases.
Yeah, they did this in response to the justice system going after Trump.
Because they're unoriginal. They're like, oh, you're going to...
It feels like if Biden had, done the responsible thing, oh, well, you're clearly showing preferential treatment towards your son. Well, so clearly, obviously, the good boy thing to do would be to not show preferential treatment. But then you're dealing with these people who are pardoning just like the most disturbing shit.
Oh, yeah.
But just like, if Biden didn't do it, Trump would still be pardoning these absolute nightmare people. And if Biden does do it, they're going to be like, well, fine, then we're going to do the thing we were going to do anyway. And it's just like, okay,
that's exactly the thing I was about to get to. Is like the problem is they're going to be like, oh, well, Biden did it with his son, so it's okay. And then they're going to pardon like 15 people that like stabbed a puppy with a knife. But, and I'm being hyperbolic, but it's like, what, Roger Stone?
Fucking
Bannon?
Roger Stone, Bannon, yeah.
Who else? I mean, who else is going to get a pardon? I mean, probably everybody at the January 6th thing.
Yeah, everyone that was at January 6th gets a pardon. Bannon gets a pardon. Vince McMahon gets a pardon, but only so Trump can come at him with the steel chair afterwards.
Yeah. It's just like Biden not pardoning his son wasn't going to mitigate any of that. It was just going to be him holding some kind of moral high ground that they don't give a shit about anyway.
Well,
they're already making fun of him for, trying to do a peaceful transfer of power, which you're supposed to do. Like, that's how that's supposed to work. So, like,
but
they
the other thing
already
too
hold the idea in contempt of behaving in a moral and upstanding way about literally any of this. To them, all of this is just get as much as you can and get gone.
Fuck you, every crumb for themselves. Yeah. But yeah, that for real. And the other thing too is that it's like also for anybody who is more left-leaning like us, you weren't operating under the illusions that the Democrats were moral, upstanding people anyway. So this was like obviously what was going to happen. It's what anybody in that situation would do when they've shown the same level of abhorrent, unethical behavior that the Democrats have for ever now.
Just
you know?
it's gonna sound really dumb when I say it like this, but I feel better knowing that Biden actually did it, because it makes me feel like he's more human.
He feels like, well, it
makes me feel like
he's a tapioca dribbling like
right
cadaver in
it
a
makes
corner somewhere.
Right, because that's what
He
I'm
was
thinking.
actually
There's
like,
a
no.
spine in there somewhere.
Yeah, he was like, no, that's my son, and he's not going to prison. Fuck that. And
I mean,
he's like,
seriously, I feel
someone turn my wrist over to this paper so I can sign this.
It's
Listen
like
here, Jack.
comparing Hunter Biden, clearly having the time of his life versus Trump's kids and literally all the shit that they've gotten up to and the weird backroom deals. Like, seriously, that man did drugs and had sex, and honestly, who among us has not done the same? Okay.
I didn't have a laptop though. I think that's my
Yeah,
only.
that's
That's the real
Well, you
problem.
were smart,
And
and
the
you
other-
didn't leave an obvious trail.
Didn't record all. And it's one of those, like, I don't know all of the details of the trial. And quite frankly, it's one of those that's like, I'm sure that what he did wasn't cool. It's not something I'm going to give him a thumbs up and a high five over.
Yeah, don't
But-
high five people for smoking crack. But
Yeah, but the Trump family is about to use the taxpayers as a fucking piggy bank for another 4 years, just like they did
I
last
have
time.
been trying so hard not to think about these people. So, like, I cannot remember the shit. I'm
It's
just like, I
okay.
have
We don't-
other
it's
shit that's
fine.
relevant to my daily life.
We don't have to get into the sort of details of it. It's just it's just you can look at the net worth and the numbers of people before and after and draw your own conclusions. And you can even see some dollar amounts and look where they came from. It's something that's there in black and white. I didn't think that the Democrats were making any real moral stand by not, or Biden specifically wasn't taking any real moral stand by not pardoning him. He's just being an idiot. Like you're like, oh, you're fine with giving arms to, you're fine with giving, like, instigating a world war and causing a big hubbub of genocide and sending money to support it and everything else. Like, pardoning your son, no, I've got a moral compass now. Like, shit, fuck, you're awful regardless.
My personal hang up on it is just like watching the double bind in action, where, like, if he pardons his son, there's going to be a lot of pearl clutching and a lot of, well, if he gets to do that, then we get to do this.
Then we
Versus
get
he doesn't pardon his son, and they just make fun of him for not
for letting his
sticking
boy
up
go
for
to
his kid
jail
or
and for
whatever.
being
Yeah,
for
like,
being a
Well,
bitch
and then
about
they-
not
there's
just
no winning either way. At the very least, stand up for someone you love.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least
Well, and then the other thing too is it's like, at least if they pardon him, they can't try to go back and like do all the bullshit all over again and like try to fuck him harder as like an act of petty, insane revenge.
Yeah.
for a brief and shiny moment, though, we can at least say that maybe we weren't maybe we weren't the worst example of liberal democracy in the world, because over the last couple of days, South Korea made us look a lot more stable, honestly.
I don't know, man. Those fuckers. Okay, well, for those of you who don't know, what happened was the president of South Korea declared martial law, or at least tried to, and essentially the opposition party just hauled their asses out of bed, got into session, and we're like, "No, we're not doing this. You ain't gonna."
Didn't he set up barriers too? Like, he was
They
fully
climbed
prepared
over
to
'em.
just force this happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, and everyone's
And
just
they
like,
climbed
"Oh, fuck
over 'em.
no, dude."
I think that the opposition party in South Korea has done more than the fucking Democrats ever did for us, especially like even when they were in power, but especially when they weren't. I'll take their guys. At least they'll look. What's Pelosi? Look, Pelosi took a knee. The Democratic Party of South Korea jumped a fucking fence.
Oh man.
And then said, "What martial law? Who is she?" And fucking said, "Get the hell out of here." And now they're calling on for the guy to resign, which he should.
Oh no, they're not just calling on for him to resign. They attempted
updates?
to impeach him. But
Couldn't
it
quite
appears
swing
that the South Korean President Yoon's impeachment vote fails after ruling party boycotts it.
Okay, so the second part of there is that they're going to grab them and pull these guys over the barricades and get them into session and say, you're going to vote on this.
It required a 2/3 effort, and it couldn't
yeah.
get the whole 200. But
Yeah, he could still he still might if public outrage gets enough if public outrage goes on enough, maybe he will resign. I think that once you're declaring martial law, you're basically announcing a failed state. That's what I think. That's what that is a proclamation of.
Why was he trying to create martial law? Like,
because of the opposition party.
Just because, like, I have no idea what's going on in South Korea. I was just like, why the fuck are they, like, I thought their fight was with North Korea. Why are they fighting themselves?
You mean they don't like each other either? Oh no.
Shit, what's
Are we
going
gonna have
on?
we're gonna have Southwest and Southeast Korea now? This is gonna be awful.
They have Central Korea.
No, it's gonna be like
South
West. It's gonna be
Korea.
like West Virginia. You're gonna end up with West Korea off of South Korea, and it's
okay. Yoon he's far right and he's very unpopular. Apparently, he had approval ratings as low as 17% at one point. Oh, they also said in September that he was planning to do this.
it took him that long.
I guess so. This was the first time martial law had been declared since the 1980 military coup d'etat after the assassination of dictator Park Chung-hee. So, yeah.
I think that what you're saying is that your democratic process is so fucked up that things have gone completely haywire, and you're basically a failed state.
This is gonna sound bad,
But,
right? But it's like,
but
have
the
any of you
fact
been in a
that-
situation where you had to have like the cops called on you, or on like you called the cops on somebody, but then like nobody went to jail? Like the cops just showed up and like stopped the situation and then left.
And then you got to just kind of be awkward. No, because normally at least the cops will have the decency to be like, all right, one of you ain't staying in the house, or like, hey, you got to leave the premises or something like that. What this is that's like they told them to leave. It's like, all right, you got to go. And then like after the cops leave, they walk back into the house and they want to keep arguing.
Awful. Oh boy. Okay, do we have any news that isn't like utterly depressing?
They still haven't caught all the monkeys, I don't think.
Oh, the monkeys. Thank God. Hey,
Diddy
we're
really
the
wants
monkeys.
his. Oh, speaking of laptops.
Oh no.
Sean Diddy Combs decries untenable laptop restrictions.
Based on what I know about Diddy, like he need to have his laptop restricted. He needs to have like the child safety like restrictions on that. You get to Google and Word Muncher.
He gets Google in like safe mode. It's like, no, you can't even.
No, it's like when they
up the wazoo.
It's like when you like if you were ever in school and they had like the computers. I don't know if you guys
went
had
to school
computers. Yeah, or if you had computers in school, maybe you had like an abacus and one of those like one of those calculators that had like the paper slip that would come off of it and the big chunky keys. You know what I'm talking about? Like the ones you see in the ASMR videos. so no.
Are you okay? Do you need to talk?
Oh boy. Okay.
You're just vibing, huh?
Yeah, we are certainly vibing. When you're in school, you might search for a certain word or topic or something on one of these fucking like Google or something like that, and it would like pop up saying you can't search, like you made a blocked search. Just give him one of those, but it's like everything, he searches Johnson's baby oil. You can't. No.
So what are they saying? Like he can't
The
have
man
his
wants
laptop?
a laptop while he's sitting in jail.
Oh,
And
he
they're
oh
like,
he
no, you like no.
It's like,
It's
my
the
brother in Christ, what makes you think you are going to be allowed nice things?
It's insane, dude. It's like, it's absolutely nuts because it just shows you that wild ass, because you know that like his lawyers at least are like, yeah, man, there's no way. Like, yeah, like, that there's no real grounds why he should have a laptop, but we're gonna argue it because maybe, but it's
just showing up to court, talk like the prosecutor, like before the judges come out and anything, just standing there like kind of awkwardly. He's like, you ain't getting. He's like, yeah, I know, but he wants me to ask for a laptop. I'm gonna ask him for a laptop, I guess.
Are you fucking kidding? It's insane because it shows, like, it's that thing that I talk about where after you've been wealthy and famous for a certain, like, there are a lot of people that start off broke as a joke and they remember what it's like to live in the world that most of us live in, but they will cross a threshold and they will just start losing their minds. Like Kanye is always the example, but like Diddy is a perfect example of this because he's been rich and powerful for so long that it doesn't occur to him that he shouldn't be allowed to have an internet connection in the fucking jail cell while he's waiting, trying to get out on bond. And they're like, no, you can't go on bond. No, we can't. If we let you out of here, you are going to get on a plane and we're not going to see you again. What are you talking about? Why would we give you an internet connection? Who do you need to talk to? Your lawyer, like your lawyer's right here. What's he going to do? He going to get on there and like download stuff from that secret drive he got? What, is he lonely? What's going on?
Yeah, I don't know, man.
He just sending mean messages on Twitter going, don't talk. You better not testify. I'm gonna fuck you up. But then the problem is the list of victims is so long. He's like, he probably need 3 laptops and a team. You better not say nothing. All right, next one. You better not say nothing. Next one. Better not say nothing. Like, how many addresses we need to keep track of? Oh yeah, you're right. If you got like an AI bot that could just send like their address and then like a threatening message. Elon, get on that.
Oh, Elon Musk has like a bot that does that already. I know we just thought this up, but I guarantee you he has a bot that all it does is just threatens people for him.
I got one more headline about stupid shit that AI does.
Oh God. Okay.
Speaking of Elon.
Misinformation researcher admits that ChatGPT added fake details to his report that he gave in a court of law.
Just saying something, talking about how we keep calling these things an AI hallucinations. It's an AI hallucination. It's like, no, guys, it's a feature, not a bug. Like, it's not a hallucination. That's literally your uncle at Thanksgiving dinner after he gets a couple beers in him. He just starts spouting shit that has no basis in reality, but he's quite convinced, and he's gonna convince you too.
He just loves to talk. That's all it is.
It is.
Yep. Communications professor Jeff Hancock admitted to overlooking, quote, hallucinated citations in a court declaration he crafted with the assistance of ChatGPT. Now, I'm going to tell you right off the bat, we need to get laws that you can't use fucking ChatGPT to do any of your court documents at all. Like, that's insane. Do not do that. You are opening the door for bad shit.
Oh God, did you see the one about how there's like, I think Elon was behind this one too, where it's just like, oh yes, this is a thing that can predict crime with 90% accuracy. And it is like, I'm sorry, do you realize how big of a room for error 90% accuracy is when you are creating the Minority Report? Like,
yeah.
that is a huge margin. Also, I would like to point out, everyone points to the fucking, Jesus, what's that actor's name? Tom Cruise. The Tom Cruise Minority Report movie, where, like, if I recall correctly, the takeaway is like, oh, we should not have the system. The original Philip K. Dick story, the protagonist actually reinforces the system so that it stays in place.
Yeah, he commits the crime and so he can be punished, and he's like, yeah, because we can't let the system fall apart, otherwise society will break down.
Yeah.
And
so just every time people start bringing up Minority Report for anything, like,
you're not allowed to have Philip K. Dick stories that actually talk about what he wanted to talk about. They make people sad, and we are about
spoke, and the people did not believe his words.
The problem is that he failed to fact check things, and he's saying it doesn't really change the substance of my report. It's just some citations that don't really exist, and I failed to proofread it and stuff like that. And it's one of those things that,
no, because you committed a crime now, right? Isn't giving like false I don't know. I guess
I don't-
is giving false information to a court illegal? Is that the same thing as perjury, or is perjury specifically you testifying? But I guess I assume if you're giving a report for like a legal case, I would assume you would have the same sort of
Okay, well, he was compensated at the government rate of $600 per hour for this declaration, which he made under penalty of perjury that everything he stated was in the document was true and correct. So it depends if they want to be assholes about it or not. Because that's what he's talking about, where it's like nothing in the report is incorrect. It's just that the citations are incorrect because they don't exist, that sort of thing.
And this is what sets precedence, though. Is just like, okay, so are we going to let it slide here, or are we going to be pernicious assholes about it? And I hope they're pernicious assholes about it, because like
They just ban
you cannot
it,
get
get rid of
sloppy
it,
with
don't do it.
this.
Yeah, keep it out of the courtrooms. Just don't do it.
Yeah, that's the only solution I see. I think like you really just need to enforce that like this cannot happen in a court of law.
We're still in that part where we're thinking that we're gonna get AI to do fucking everything, and like, you know, we all know we've seen how the trend seems to be. It's like we're thinking, oh, we're gonna do everything. Then there's gonna be like a big crash, and a lot of people are gonna lose a lot of money because they blew it on stuff that really wasn't going to be able to turn into a tangible product. And we're gonna find the thing of like, oh, we can make it work for this, this, and this. I just think we need to go further and like outright ban it for a lot of things. I know there are probably some people listening now that have like pro AI sentiments, and I don't think it's wholly a bad thing. I think there are good uses for it. There are interesting things that can be done with it. But right now, for example, there are animators who are watching work that they built over years and years and years basically be stolen and used to train AIs that are going to take their jobs. Like that's the equivalent of somebody making you train the person that they are going to replace you with, but worse. You know what I mean? And I understand that we're really far from the subject here, but like right now, that's where we're going. And then also what we're seeing is that a lot of these like large language model AI, chat GPT type things end up having problems where they do shit like this, where they hallucinate data, you know, they throw out bullshit that doesn't exist and just add it into the document. And then we're like, and now where it's like you have to proofread and double check, which is something that already has to happen, is you end up with people. A lot of the times you'll find people use the AI to produce a bunch of material and then they have to curate it. And then it's like, oh, wow, I can't believe an AI made this. And it's like, well, you didn't see all the garbage that it made either. Now, you don't see the garbage that a creator makes unless you're listening to this show. But at the same time, we're starting to see the weird shit that AI does when you just let it run, and we realize, it actually fucks up 30% of the time or something like that. And we haven't even touched on the thing that we're going to start getting into this cycle where it's AI is going to start having to use other AIs to train, and you're going to get this weird feedback loop that's probably going to accentuate a lot of the weird shit that AI does already. And then it's going to be, why are there demon faces in the background of every one of these photos? And then it's going to wake up. That's when the singularity is going to happen. It was demons the whole time.
Oh, God. Okay.
So, yeah, death penalty for this guy, you think?
That seems fair.
Yeah, I guess so.
No, that was too big of a fuck up.
If the
If it's not the death penalty, we're at least killing his career and all of his earning potential for the rest of his life, which is basically the same thing, really.
Right. Unless he wants to work at, like, you know, Burger King, I guess. Then that seems like he can't fuck that up.
Not going to pay bills. So.
No, but he could live off the burgers.
There we go. Till he gets fired for eating the product.
You know what? You know what they should do? What they should do is they should square off. They should make a little quarantine area where we can still use like AI programs, and it's just for Monday Night Wrestling. So pardon Vince McMahon, turn all of the writing over to AI, and then this guy has to be the proofreader for all the AI scripts. That feels fair, right?
Yeah, AI never breaks kayfabe.
It's just something really exciting about like fake fighting. You know what I mean? Like made up nonsense fighting.
That's not like what AI is perfect for. You know, on Blue Sky, there's this this trend that's happening right now. I've been on there, kind of just like watching as the people are flowing in and systems are developing. The AI chatbots, they're trying to get a toehold, but everyone's really good at just identifying, reporting, and blocking, and not engaging. But one of the things that the AI bots are trying to do, but to foster engagement, is to respond to a post with something like, I disagree, I think this is something or other, and I think this remark was getting a little off subject. Let's try to stay focused on this, whatever. Like, I saw this in response to like someone was posting about red squirrels in Scotland, and like the AI response clearly didn't understand what was being said, so it was just trying to find things to provoke a fight. So literally, AI is being used to try to provoke fights. So like, I think this is actually a great application that you're talking about here. You're really onto something.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And I know we have a Blue Sky account already, so we need to really get on there, and maybe we can provoke some real fights. It seems to be what we're good at. But in the meantime, maybe is there another form of like fake fighting that we can talk about?
Well, you know, since you put it that way, I might be able to help you with that.
Since you perfected this segue technique after years of training.
Yes. Well, you know, Bruce Lee did say, I do not fear the man who has practiced 1,000 segues one time. I fear the man
who drove that Segway off the cliff, right? That guy was crazy.
He's
that
the
man's
CEO, bro. More dead CEOs. Oh my God,
More
it's a
dead
trend.
CEOs. Shit. Can't get away from it.
All right. Okay. So just to give the listener a bit of a clue of why we went with this, T.S. Brookehouse over here, in addition to all of their wonderful qualities, such as not thinking and writing, has also has some experience with various martial arts. I don't remember which specifically. I know you did Tai Chi. Didn't you do something else?
Yeah, and Tai Chi is the one that is like, I'm trying to get back into that one, but then I was also just reading the 13 chapters, and Chang Mancheng reinforces the idea of just like, no, you do need to be balancing Tai Chi with hard arts. Tai Chi is a soft art. Karate would be a hard art. And I went to a school for about 5 years where I was learning kind of a couple different types of karate. So it was Shorin-ryu and what's the fucking name? There was a little Jukokai mixed in there, and there was also some Bujinkan, which is ninjutsu. But like, it's the authentic shit.
So you could just murder
so, like,
us then.
Yes, definitely. Like, no. So like, I did get a lot of practice with that, and I'm very out of practice now. But like, the one thing that I have stayed pretty fresh on, one of the things that they talked about while I was in the school is like, if you learn Tai Chi, it doesn't matter if you get those postures nailed down. We had 64 postures that we had named and identified. And there's this whole backstory to this particular branch of Tai Chi as well. It's this will mean nothing to you, but it is Yang style Tai Chi, but it's a modified form thanks to Dr. Robert Sohn, who learned this while he was, I believe, stationed in Korea, like back in like the 60s. And then when he brought it to the US, they did the EEG thing where they strap an electrode hat to your head and they monitor brain waves. And so he modified the Tai Chi form to be especially relaxing when you practice it in this way. So like, it's still Tai Chi, it still definitely has a martial application, but I've noticed the style that I learned looks a little different from the style you're likely to find elsewhere. And it is virtually impossible to find on the internet.
Huh.
Yeah, Dr. Robert Sohn's book is still out there, But like I found a video on YouTube and it got taken down in about 2 months, and that was 15 years ago.
So what I'm hearing is that he did like neuroscience and figured out, hey man, if you do the postures like this, it actually gets your brain waves where they want to be.
Yeah, basically that.
Out fucking standing. I love that. That's like, that is
It
on
was
some
really cool.
That's some shit that Christopher Hyatt wishes that he had done. He's like, man, I should have gotten that one down.
Yeah, so this is the thing that I learned, and one of the things that we were told is that you learn this, but if you do not practice it, you will lose it. Whereas, like, if you are studying Shotokan karate or something like that, you can learn these things, and the muscle memory, you practice it enough, it turns into cellular memory. That shit is in there. Your body will replicate those motions without you thinking about it. Even if it has been a really long time since the last time you practiced, you can pick it up again, and your body will get back into the pattern of performing those movements with relative ease. Tai Chi, if you do not stay on top of that shit, you lose it. So this is the one that I have been really careful. Like, even if it's been a few months since the last time I did it, periodically I will go back and make sure that it's in there. And more recently, I've been trying to get myself back to it. We were kind of talking about this before starting the episode, how it's really important to have some kind of physical practice to reinforce your mystical work. Your body needs some kind of support for the weird spiritual shit that you do with it.
Right, agree entirely.
And Tai Chi is a really good way to do that. Particularly, I find it very, very helpful.
I do the iron paw stuff where you just like break bricks and everything, but to each his own.
I thought you were serious for a second, and then it was like, oh, you break bricks. Like, oh, never mind.
No, they do. That's what they do. They break bricks.
That's not what you do. What you're describing is, oh God, I can't remember what they're called. Who are the guys that they lift for Christ and they tear phone books in half?
If I can figure out who they are, I'll put a clip of them in right here.
My brain keeps going like the Power Gang, and I don't think that's it. That might be something totally different.
Power Gang was like the Saturday morning cartoon version of Power Man.
Oh boy.
Okay. Well, all that's really fascinating, and it's really cool to be able to talk about the intersection of spirituality and particularly martial arts, but I think any sort of bodily skill thing. Everyone knows that you've heard the show before, if you've seen me rant in the Discord or anywhere online. My big thing is I love talking about embodiment, and I like talking about the way we interact and cope with the world, and how we acquire skill. All that stuff's really cool, and the intersection of that and mysticism and magic has been my bag for quite a long time. This is not that, though. This is people claiming to make force fields and knock people out with their chi. So buckle up.
What's not to like?
There is, as I'm sure many of you would guess, a genuine spiritual component, or at least spiritual like ideas that surrounds a lot of martial arts. In fact, even in China to this day, there's a certain kind of group of the population that seems to think that martial artists have legitimately supernatural abilities. And there are people that are more than willing to be like, yes, I am one of those super martial artists that can
give me some money.
Yeah, exactly. Oh God, I don't have his name. Hang on. I can find it in a moment, I think.
For the record, it was the Power Team. With the power of Jesus.
There's a Chinese mixed martial artist who has kind of made it his bag to go fight these people, to the point that he has ruined his social credit score over there because he keeps picking fights with respectable, or at least semi-respected, supposedly magic kung fu fighters. His name's Xu Shaidong, but listen to this. This guy did absolutely insane stuff. We'll get to the more legitimately magical oriented thing here, but this guy got sued for fighting Tai Chi Grandmaster Chen Xiaowang, or for calling him a fraud, and the court ordered him to pay $60,000 in damages and apologize for 7 consecutive days on social media. Additionally, his credit rating was lowered to the point that he could not rent, own property, stay in certain hotels, travel on high-speed rail, or buy plane tickets.
Can you imagine if the legal system in the US mandated social media apologies?
Yeah, you can't.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane.
We're gonna get there.
Yeah, you
But
never
I
know.
think that the solution is to just keep fighting people like this guy's doing.
Well, no, hang on, because here's the other thing too. Because after that, you know what he did? He fought another person, but he was only able to do it because he got to wear clown makeup to hide his face and fought under a fake name.
Now he's a fucking superhero. This is awesome.
Is this a superhero origin story or a villain origin story? Like,
What
this
he's
is some
taking down these
vigilante shit.
he's I'm dressing as a clown, but y'all are the real clowns because you think that you're shooting like a key blast at me and you're
He
filching
is
people.
holding up a mirror to society.
Yeah. Hey, look, he's like, look, these people
What
are
do you
going around
get when you have a mentally ill mixed martial artist?
with a bunch of con men that keep trying to take people's money. You get what you fucking deserve, and then he just fucking uppercuts them.
So that being said, in America, though, we have a very different relationship with the con man Magick mixed martial artist. We love them apparently, whereas this guy fights them. In America, we get people like George Dillman. If you've ever heard of George Dillman, then you have heard a big old barrel of lies that he probably came up with himself that get repeated infamously. The long and short of it is that George Dillman was fairly important and did compete in actual legitimate martial arts at various points. And he's got a place of prominence in the sort of growth of American martial artists. But George Dillman also has been claiming for years that he can like knock you out without even touching you and like do mind control and stuff. And the thing is, usually when these sorts of claims get made, people don't do them on camera or in front of people, right? Because they know that they don't actually have these powers, right? Like that's a thing that normal people do. George does not seem to listen to that because he has tried multiple times on film to just be like, "What? Check it out. I'm going to knock you out." And he'll do the thing and then it won't work. Like he does it a lot on camera with like his students, which I think plays into this sort of idea of maybe you could be drinking the Kool-Aid hard enough that if a guy says he can knock you out and then does a hand motion at you that you would, faint or whatever. But anytime he's tried to do it to just an impartial person,
it's sort of faith healing in reverse.
Oh, right. Yeah, exactly.
Faith healers will even use things like shills, right? Where it's like people that know that this is an act, and that person goes on stage and they then they hype it up, they throw away their fucking crutches and they start tap dancing, and that puts everybody in a fervor. That gets everybody going. So that by the time it's like maybe you didn't believe it, but then you saw with your own eyes this 80-year-old grandma picked up her wheelchair and threw it across the room. And so now when you're like, shit, all I got is a bum knee. Holy crap. And then that guy's going to touch it and you're going to be, oh my God. And you're going to be overloaded with endorphins and your psychology's triggered that right section of neurons firing that all of a sudden you feel great,
Mm-hmm.
Take it from the other end. You believe that this guy is an awesome sensei and he does karate better than everybody on the planet, and he can talk to the birds, and if he stares at a cloud, that cloud will move out of the way because it's afraid of him. And he's saying, all right, I can just wave my hands over somebody and they'll fall to the ground. And he does it with a guy, and that guy is like, a good 5 inches taller than you, and he probably has a girlfriend who lets him probably like kiss her or something, and he goes to the ground. So what do you have? All you've got is a pair of peed underwear already, and as soon as he gets next to you, you're on the ground because you've psyched yourself out completely. So I think that it's a little more nuanced than this is bullshit. It's bullshit, but bullshit can do crazy things to you when you get infectulated by it.
I was like, I Googled because like I feel like I should know this guy's name, but it just isn't ringing any bells. He is definitely drinking his own Kool-Aid though, because like We've
Oh,
got
yeah.
Prometheus, the George Dillman story. I'm just like, Prometheus? Wow, so we stole martial arts techniques from the Asians, and that is our Prometheus story. This is just like stealing fire from the gods. I see it now.
Bro, you're not gonna believe it. I went over to Japan and I saw a guy throw a single karate chop, and I caught that hand and I ran all the way back to the airport with it. I hid it up my sleeve so that they wouldn't notice. And now
This is the Steven Seagal story.
never equate yourself with Prometheus, because you guys always got to remember what the second half of his story is.
Getting his liver eaten out every day for eternity. And
Yeah.
we are definitely here eating his liver right now. I got
Watch me get my
snack.
Watch me get my liver eaten on camera. I gotta say, my favorite thing that I've seen, and shout out to the YouTube channel Napoleon Blown Apart, because that guy is partly responsible for this.
Name.
What a great creator. You guys should go watch his videos and supports him. He does all sorts of stuff on mixed martial arts. He did this whole series on bullshit fake martial artists and stuff that we've cribbed a lot of info here from, because it's a very informative one and it touches on almost everyone we wanted to talk about. But there's a clip from a documentary little thing that he was filmed with George Dillman, and George is just looking directly at the camera, explaining to you that, oh well, if you're not standing properly, I can't knock you out. And you think, oh, you know what? In fact, if you push one of your toes down and the other one up, I can't knock you out. And then if you do it again, like when I try to do it again, it'll just, and you keep going back and forth like that, can't knock you out. It'll be fine. And I'm just like, what a master, being like, oh yeah, I have Tai Chi, I have these amazing powers of my own chi being directed with a strong enough force that it can knock you out. But if your toes like break the circuit, like you're done.
Impossible.
Can't do it.
Seem like, just again from the quick Google search, I'm just scrolling through Google Images and noticing the book titles, and it really does seem to be a great big focus on pressure point technique.
Oh yeah, that's his.
Fascinating, because like that shit is real. Like, I don't know if you're aware of this. That is real. It does work. This was actually one of the things that my martial arts instructor used to demonstrate on us in class. Like, it was very interesting. There's a point in your elbow where if you dig in one way, your knees give out, and if you dig in the other way, you will rise up on your toes. And he made a point, just like, once every 6 months or so, he's just like, oh, do you want to see the pressure point demonstration? This was a really easy one. Just grab someone by the elbow and control their body movement with this. And it worked every fucking time. But this is also not someone just like, I'm going to magically mystical woo-woo you in the special magic mystical points. Like, no, there are nerve plexes in various parts of your body. And that's what a lot of these points are connected to. Like, most of this 5-point theory is also just like, you hit certain points across the body in the right combination and you will drop someone. It does work. And it's not a matter of just like, oh, just stand on your toes a little differently and it'll change things and I will not be able to do things. So see, really, you're just standing in a special pose that coincidentally I'm not able to do anything. Like, no, if you hit someone in the exact right nerves, in the exact right placement, they will go down.
Right.
Like, they can't help it. It's just a literal physiological response. It's not magic.
Have you seen that meme that it's a so-called free thinkers when the doctor hits their knee with that little hammer?
The little hammer.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing, because like I said, George Dillman does have some legitimate martial arts cred behind him. It's just that he's also claimed that he can, hit you with a Hadoken. Which I think is sort of the line, right? It's because you'll notice when we talk about the other people or the other, when we talk about the other people that are on this list, there's a lot of that. There are a lot of people that are like, oh yeah, they kind of start out, they have some real credence, they're doing real things. And then they decide that, well, you know what, it'd be much easier if I just said that I could use my mind to make you knock out yourself. In fact, if I stare at you in this right way, and I look you deep with my left eye only, you'll punch yourself in the mouth. where do we go from here? Oh, we could talk about the Bali School of Yellow Bamboo.
Oh, right. This is now, and I'm sure everybody, if you don't know what this is called, you still probably know it because it is a guy who basically claims that he can create force fields, and it's usually like he's just like waving his hands around and like doing the Charles Xavier, straining your eyes and looking like you're concentrating really hard. But there's a video of like where he's supposed to be teaching a group of people how to do it, and there's a woman that does it. And I don't know if this is another instance of he believing the Kool-Aid or not, or he believes his own hype, where he runs at this woman like full speed and like smacks into her, and the force field did not stop him. So
he just pancakes this like woman who's got to be like in her like late 40s, early 50s, right?
And then like everybody's looking at him like he's an asshole, which he is. But he just like he just does like the fakest of fake trying to get out of your math test seizure. Like he falls on the ground and like does like does the whole like shaking and like tongue flopping around sort of thing. So it's supposed to be like, no, it was the delayed response
of the magic force field.
The magic force field I ran.
See, what happened was like he had his force field, but she was a secret master who put up her own force field, and the two connected and canceled each other out.
Yeah.
And so like there was no force field by the time he got there. And then he just sort of like glitched because he's never had his force field canceled before.
Yeah, he's never had physical contact before.
Her force field didn't work because her ring finger on her left hand was slightly cocked, and then on the opposite hand it was stuck out, and that means that the energy couldn't complete the circuit through her body, so that the force field wouldn't form.
Oh my god!
But when he ran into her, he had his left pinky toe going into the northern direction, and his right pinky toe was going into the east, and that created magnetic interference, which short-circuited his brain.
I'm getting dumber already. This is such a great afternoon, evening adventure here. Just like
the goal here is that
is almost complete.
You'll never be able to think again.
Chaos Magic News.
Listener, has your brain sufficiently atrophied and shriveled? Do you feel your gray matter going down the back of your neck?
Do you guys want to read the because Yellow Bamboo has its has a website, as you would imagine in the modern age here.
The notable thing about the Yellow Bamboo people is that it's not just that they teach you how to not make a force field. They're also a cult.
No. Hang on. Listen, we're gonna read the what is Yellow Bamboo section from their website. Ahem. Yellow Bamboo is a practice of spiritual development, healing, health, protection, and white magic founded in Singara, the northern tip of Bali. It is a type of yoga for enhancing your inner energies to manifest your spirit's positive intentions. Its main purpose is to strengthen the practitioner's belief and connection to God and to the universe, and harnessing these powers for manifesting healing, protection, peacefulness with one S, or whatever positive outcome is needed. Yeah, this has been poorly translated, actually. It's in English. I didn't have to like Google translate it. It's just bad. It's not. I mean,
that's just how you talk, dude. So like, I didn't realize.
Yellow Bamboo is a type of inner power practice. The energy is accumulated using yoga breathing methods and meditation combined with Balinese mantras. The main benefit of this combination is that Yellow Bamboo produces results quicker than most regular yoga practices. It is common for new practitioners training intensely to already feel the energy after only 2 to 3 days.
You can achieve your awakening in a fraction of the
time. Oh, hang on.
Just one of those, the info core. There's gotta be a better way. As like,
are you tired of your simple yoga practice? Painful asanas, boring mantras. There's got to be
Lifetimes
better.
upon lifetimes of breathing and meditating.
It just shows like photos of dudes in monasteries like fucking up the mantra or something. They're like, ah, shit, now I'm gonna have a bad rebirth. And it's like, don't let this happen to you.
But it's like the really, really bad infomercial acting of just like they trip over their tongue in a mantra, but so graphically that just like literally their tongue is out of their mouth, just flapping around in the
They
air.
just like spit up on themselves, like, oh.
They fall off their yoga mat or their meditation cushion. It's just like that's how you know they did it real bad.
The mala just splits into like beads flying everywhere. Oh god. Okay. The Yellow Bamboo program is a cohesive step-by-step method of attaining spiritual and personal development. You will achieve more spiritual, personal, business, and financial development in 1 month than in years of most yoga and meditation practices.
Nothing says spiritual development like hierarchical thinking.
Other things that we should know about this is they have an initiation ritual that involves like 5 types of rice.
Like eating it or like what do you mean 5 types of rice?
They have like 5 color. They got like 4 colors of rice and then they mix them all together. And I think you eat it. I'm not 100% certain.
Like,
I know
is
it involves
different types of rice, or is it the same rice with different like colors of preparation? And like the yellow symbolizes the yellow bamboo, and the white symbolizes the ordinary life that you're blending with. And then like the I don't know, the fucking toasted rice is getting cooked.
Does it have to be specifics, or can I just like get because down at the Kroger's, right? They got those like little cup of rice for like $1. I could probably find 5 different colors, like a cilantro.
Trying to figure
like
out how to hack a home initiation into yellow bamboo.
Oh man!
I can't afford the trip to Bali. We gotta do this somehow. Like using
no,
grocery store.
Brookehouse, don't worry, because you can get a live personal video call training, and there are free training videos online with Dr. Alvin himself.
Oh my god! Okay,
Dr. Alvin is
right.
also a white guy that you would imagine, like the guy that I said when I say Dr. Alvin
is
think
a
of it.
chipmunk with an elaborate scheme.
Alvin!
Oh man. Okay. Let's. How about this? All right. If we get another 10 people on the Patreon,
we will
call up Dr. Alvin, and we will bug him with inane questions about how to bootleg the rice initiation at home. And I will
watch him be super into it. Watch him be like, "Oh no, you can definitely do it at home. Hang on, let me get you a list. I'll send you the PDF."
I'll just be like, "You just stay on the line with us while we go through the whole initiation."
Oh my god. So, all right. I think it's time to get to the meat of it all. Are you guys ready? Because I made a discovery. I found a direct line of succession of the Western esoteric tradition to the culmination of film tradition. So let me start with a very simple story here of a young man
named Hermes Trismegistus, and how we get from there to Pulp Fiction, right?
Close. But
oh man,
no.
Okay, I was taking a shot in the dark.
Good guess. A young man named John Keane, Irish American, born in Beverly, Chicago, 1939. His father was a physician and the director of the Ashland State Bank, and his mother occasionally appeared in the society pages of the Chicago Tribune. Well-to-do boy. As most young, well-to-do boys do, he eventually developed an interest in hand-to-hand combat and jiu-jitsu techniques. And this led to a greater interest in Asian martial arts that had been growing in the country as he did. Keane would go to Chicago to attempt to promote martial arts in various ways, learned a lot, and decided, like many of us, at some point that he was going to reinvent himself after meeting with a couple of people that might sound a bit familiar. He met a Mr. Mark Lully, who at the time was running both a adult bookstore and taking the money from that to fund his occult bookstore. And through Mark Lully, John Keane would meet.
Let's back up a second.
What?
So he was selling adult books and media.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was so smut. We'll use that. You know, and I don't even mean that negative.
Born to a cultist pipeline.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. So he was selling smut and using it to run his occult stuff.
Yes.
Like selling occult books.
Yeah.
Okay, that is a really good business model, and we should adopt that.
Actually, really is. Yeah, like Jesus.
No, I mean,
like,
well,
porn is $1 billion industry, whereas if you're writing occult books, I mean,
you're gonna sell 3 copies, and then it's gonna sell 3 copies, and then a PDF is gonna leak. And people are going to say you're a legend and they love you, and then they're like, well, did you buy any of their books? Who buys occult books?
So yeah, you want to have, like, you know, at least
a backup,
in the modern culture, and OnlyFans. Like, I'm still waiting on the Chaos Magic News OnlyFans.
See, we were talking about this, and Cohost said that I wasn't pretty enough.
You're not.
See, there's someone for everyone, though, and you would be amazed. Like, anyone you think is just like, really? They have an OnlyFans? Of course they do. Of course they do. Someone out there is into that. I guarantee it.
All right.
This is maybe not the greatest thing for your ego, actually. It's like, no, dude, it's fine.
Listen,
you're not.
You're
still interesting.
You have a great personality, and I'm sure someone is really going to enjoy your OnlyFans content.
There are people who watch that Spawn movie and they see him after he comes back with the burnt face, and they're like, you know, that's really hot. So I'm saying that those would be your fans, basically.
Like, it's a niche, but like that niche is still valid, and because, especially if it's a narrow niche, those people they are starved for choice, so they're
begging for somebody.
Yeah. So you don't need much. You just need like a few really dedicated fans, and that's everything, really. That's occult writing. That is any sort of genre writing. Is just like, you need a few really, really dedicated weirdos in your fan base, and you're golden. And like, that is the Chaos Magic News Discord. Like, that's where the weirdos collect to be dedicated and weird and get fucking dragon pilled.
And all of you weirdos, we're gonna read your name in about 20 minutes and tell you how much we love you. So. But first, we got to talk more about the the exciting business model of I'm selling the smut, and then I'm using it so I can write about like the portals at the fairy circles, and like what and why you're not doing this pentagram in the right direction. You're going like 1, 2, 5, 4, 3 when you should be going 3, 1, 2, 5, 4. And that's why you don't have your holy guardian angel yet. So he meets those people and he's like, I don't know about that. I'm just into kicking stuff, right? Is that what we're getting at?
No, because Mr. Keane goes in on the adult books and such with him and the occultness because they're kind of into that. So, Mr. Mark Lully, if that name sounds familiar, you must have listened to the Michael Bertiaux special. Michael Bertiaux, who is a member of the Chicago Theosophical Society at the time still, and very much still involved with Haitian voodoo, is introduced to Mr. Keane. Michael Bertiaux himself has very positive things to say about John Keane here, or as he would soon become known as, the infamous Count Dante. So, if that name sounds a little more familiar to you folks, I'll give you the quick version there. John Keane, Irish-American, after becoming a ordained Haitian voodoo priest for Michael Bertiaux, after learning martial arts, after having an adult bookstore and an occult bookstore, decides that he's going to reinvent himself as Count Dante, claiming that his family was Spanish royalty who had fled during the Spanish Civil War and changed their name and obscured their identities to protect themselves from anti-royalist communists.
Very Bertiaux move of just say like, yeah, you definitely come back from a long lineage of people that are totally real.
Yep.
Way to go.
Dyed his hair black, started wearing like purple flashy suits all the time, starts opening up martial arts schools, and like more than one at that.
Wait, at like the same time?
Yeah, at the same time. Sometimes they would fall and he would go start doing other ones. But he starts,
oh, that didn't work. Try again.
He starts promoting himself
Bank
in
just
comic
giving him
books.
loans for everything.
He started promoting himself in comic books as the deadliest man alive, and he would have a mail order instructional thing for you to learn his Dante or Kata Dante system, the Dance of Death. This is also where the popularization of the DIM MAK comes from, the death touch. Allegedly has some more realistic origins in some places, but Dante essentially makes it
we were just talking about the idea of like you hit the right nerve clusters and somebody's going to go down. So I guess it would stand to reason that you hit the right spots, you can kill somebody like that. I'm sure.
Yeah, but well, he describes it as in fact, here's that damn ad. Yes, this is the deadliest and most terrifying fighting art known to man, and without equal. Its maiming, mutilating, disfiguring, paralyzing, and crippling techniques are known by only a few people in the world. An expert at DIM MAK could easily kill many judo, karate, kung fu, aikido, and gung fu experts at one time with only one fingertip pressure, using his murderous poison hand weapons. Instructing you step by step through each move in this manual is none other than Count Dante, the deadliest man who ever lived. He would found the Black Dragon Fighting Society, which was
okay. Can I sidetrack?
Go for it.
You brought up the DIM MAK, the death touch, and this is a Chaos Magic show, so we talk about, let's go back to our roots here. It's worth mentioning that Liber Null, foundational Chaos Magic text, my biological father, Peter Carroll totally believed in the death touch. At least he wrote about it like it was a real thing.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I got the page up.
Yeah, go ahead and read it for the folks.
It's page 64 on the double. In the occult martial arts, it is projected just beyond the striking surface of the body by visualization and a sharp yell which accompanies the physical blow. A portion of the etheric force may even be left inside the opponent to cause what is called a delayed death touch.
Well, there you go, folks. Peter Carroll says that Count Dante is totally the real deal.
This is kind of interesting just because there actually is a thing in martial arts where like people who are very, very, like, this is a level of sophistication I definitely got nowhere near, but they can strike and you can watch across like hours as a bruise spreads out from a point where someone got struck. And I've known people who can do this. This is not something that they sought to do. This is actually where like becoming a high level martial artist can be kind of scary because you can accidentally hurt people you care about. The person that I knew who experienced this actually changed their approach to martial arts because they started having kids and they're like, I don't want to accidentally hurt my kid.
Ooh.
It's like there is a technique that allows you to strike in a very targeted area, but like the bruise that spreads from there is tremendous and kind of scary. So like to a certain extent, this isn't completely out of pocket, but this is probably very, very heavily dramatized.
I just think it's very funny that Carroll, I get it. It's the foundation. I still think there's a lot of good stuff in Liber Null. I think that Peter Carroll has a lot of great writing. I would highly recommend you go to The Horse's Mouth if you want to know about where Chaos Magic comes from and what's the things that informed it when it was starting to become an actual widely practiced form of magic. But Libernal is also full of like weird little asides like that of just like, oh yeah, and then like you can do like the death touch, and it's like, Carol, you weren't practicing this. You're just like, yeah, it's like people say that shit. Yeah, sure, yeah. Death touch, man. You just gotta like visualize and shoot your, you shoot your etheric double into somebody's pancreas, and then they take 4 steps and they just drop dead. That's right. Yeah, I saw the Count Dante do it.
I'm stealing this verbatim from the lastdragontribute.com. This is like some GeoCities looking shit, but I really like this little line here.
What
he's describing
name.
He's describing what the Kata Dante fighting style is. Based on what I've seen, you strike your opponent's vitals, eyes, throat, nose, and when said person is on the floor, you stomp them out.
Very effective.
Deadliest man
I
alive.
mean, now that's the problem, right? That would work. Like that's just. And some schools have thought they would refer to that as fighting dirty. It's just, yeah, just hit them in the eyes, get them in the nose and the throat and the mouth, probably try hit them in the genitals until they throw up, like that sort of thing. And then when they're down, you just don't stop. You just kick the shit out of them.
Yeah. Well, Dante would essentially go on to become the Michael Bertiaux of the martial arts world, if you will. He pretty much nobody likes him. He is constantly getting into fights with other people. He's openly criticizing pretty much every other form of martial arts, and allegedly Dante.
It sounds like he became the Chaos Magic News of martial arts.
Well, we haven't orchestrated an attack on another podcast yet. So we're not
yet.
Yes.
No,
like,
so it turns out that we're the Count Dante of the occult podcast world then. Got it. Right. So but in the spirit of chaos magic, and to a certain extent probably the magical philosophy of Michael Bertiaux, someone claimed that Dante's Kata Dante was developed out of a frustration with the emphasis on ritual and hierarchical progression in the martial arts world at the time, and he wanted to create something that was focused on effectiveness.
Oh, hey.
So interesting.
So then he was like, all right, I came up with the best form of martial arts, and he just pulls out a Glock 9.
That being said, though, we've now got to the point where Count Dante has opened multiple martial arts schools. He's sold instructional manuals claiming to be the deadliest man alive. He has a hair salon. He's also a hairstylist. Bet you didn't know that.
You got a pizza place?
Not yet.
That's really how to diversify your portfolio is just
martial arts lessons, car sales, pornography in an occult bookstore. And then do some hair on the side. Yeah, you get your hair done. Get you a man that can do all of that. But you know what else you can do? You can orchestrate an attack on a rival dojo. He legitimately showed up with someone else dressed as the police to a rival dojo.
Oh my god, he impersonated an officer and then started a fight.
Yes, but
they
went into the school claiming the
like,
police.
Stripper cop?
No, it gets worse because Dante's friend Jim Koncevic died in the fight in the dojo. Tragically, he isn't
because he went to do show up to just out of curiosity, is it mentioned?
It's called the Green Dragon Dojo. So I don't know if you know much about martial arts dojos in the 1970s. They were, of course, the Black Dragon Fighting Society, not to be confused
Brookehouse
with.
is just gonna call up one of her friends and be like,
"Yo, you remember the Green Dragons, right?
Didn't you go to the Green Dragon?"
Well, like you just mentioned Black Dragon, and I think that was maybe that was American Combat Karate. Richie Baratheon was a big fucking deal, and that was actually my martial arts instructor's instructor.
Oh shit!
And, yeah, and I'm trying to remember what the hell his school was called. I think it's American Combat Karate.
Got it.
Yeah, my instructor said like that is a school that the Cobra Kai was based on.
Oh,
like
shit.
When those movies first came out, like that was his school. And Baratheon was I think, let me see if I can remember how he described this. He's like the perfect cross of Mother Teresa and Hitler. Because if Richie Baratheon liked you, he would absolutely go to bat for you. He would just, but this guy also trained like Hell's Angels, and if he didn't like you,
He would
muck.
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
You fuck,
yeah.
son. To complete the Count Dante story, also, hang on, really, just to throw this out there, someone also claimed, mob lawyer Robert Cooley, who wrote a book about all the various, illegal mob lawyering he did. Allegedly, he says that he represented Dante in the Dojo War criminal trial.
Wait. How did the guy die is the question. Was it like he went to do the death touch and he was like, no, Johnny, get out of the, oh, it's too late.
It was like the end of Kill Bill Volume 2.
He just walks 5 steps. Oh my God.
Over.
But he also, Robert Cooley also claimed that Dante was the mastermind behind the 1974 Chicago Perolator vault robbery, which was an amount of $4.3 million was stolen.
That's where he keeps getting all of his money to open dojos.
Basically, after all of this, the mail order stuff that goes bad, his destroying any credibility he had within the martial arts community. Pretty much all of his businesses are failing at this point. He's split up with Mark Lully. Speaking of hair salons closed down. Speaking of which, Mark Lully, his friend that introduced him to Bertiaux, that was a member of the various OTOA and other Michael Bertiaux type organizations. He started a rival martial arts school, which is exactly what you do when you split with your business partner. You're like, oh yeah, that thing you were doing, now I'm going to do it. I don't know if Mark Lowley even really knew martial arts. He probably did, but you know what I mean? Like, could you imagine he was just like, man, if Dante can fucking do it, I can do it.
That is usually how it goes with martial arts schools, though. Like, either you stay in the same system and like you are now a teacher within that school, or you get in a fight with your sensei and you go start your own school with blackjack and hookers.
And like, this is funny because it's like,
you do.
Lully wasn't even like a martial arts guy, I think, and then like Dante shows up and he's like, all right, now I'm gonna
Look, well, they had to meet somewhere, so maybe he was already into martial arts, but
I think they were both into I think they were both into smut.
That would explain an awful lot.
He's like, all right, man, I'll teach you what I know about magic if you teach me what you know about punching people in the throat.
All right, well, when they're on the ground, you stomp them.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, this is great magic.
All right, so here's how the pentagram works.
Oh my God. So Dante died after basically, losing most of his shit,
duel,
including, his mind. But he died in his sleep by way of bleeding ulcers, apparently. From there, we don't really know what happened to him. He's just gone somewhere.
He died. What are you talking about?
He has not re-entered the cycle of samsara yet, is what we're saying. It's just like, he kind of checked out. He's like, hang on, something didn't work. What I don't know. Last time? Was it the martial arts or was it the porn?
I don't know. He might be in one of the hell realms for a while. He's got a lot of bad karma to pay off. He's got a lot of bad karma to go through.
I do think it's fascinating to see that someone so intimately associated with the Chicago, I don't even know what you would call it. I was about to say the occult scene, but it's not even that. It's just this greater sort of outsider culture thing that and somehow encompasses like martial arts, occultism, and porn.
Like the martial arts and occultism doesn't surprise me because there's a fuck ton of crossover there. The porn, I guess, shouldn't surprise me. I mean, all of us are out here casting sigils, so like
the porn is what was keeping everything in business.
I need the Venn diagram thing where it's like they're all linking up and it's like porn, martial arts, occultism, and it's just Count Dante right in the center.
That's called a Jean-Claude Venn diagram.
Great segue, because now we get to touch on how we go from the culmination of the Western esoteric tradition to the film tradition, because as I mentioned, Dante created the Black Dragon Fighting Society, a society for the promotion and orchestration of various martial artists. This title was co-opted by another fake martial artist named Frank Dukes. We don't have time to explain who Frank Dukes is. Frank Dukes is essentially a man who claims that he was made a ninja by some guy that he like just found. And then he has a billion stories about how he was like saving kids and he fought in a Kumite death battle. You know, all those sorts of things. Just, you know, oh, he claims he served as like a secret agent and then wrote a whole book about it saying that, yes, I am a secret agent.
I'm pretty sure kumite is just a term for sparring. So, like, you're in a sparring death battle? Like, what's wrong with you? That's not how it works.
Well, take it up with Mr. Frank Dukes and the cinematic masterpiece that he would inspire, because Frank Dukes, his book is the basis of the Jean-Claude Van Damme masterpiece, Bloodsport.
What you're saying is that there is a line that one can trace if one were inclined from when Aleister Crowley was in Cairo and received the transmission of the Book of the Law, ushering in the Aeon of Horus, all the way down through time
to the movie Bloodsport. Yeah.
So does that mean that Prometheus 2012 is actually George Diller's autobiographical movie?
Comes together. It's another
this is way off topic here, but do you guys know what's it called? I can't remember what it's called, but you know, there's an extended universe that they've created based on the fact that the television show Saint Elsewhere and
the Snow Globe universe.
The Tommy whatever universe. It's the kid's name. But the point is the television show Saint Elsewhere ends with us finding out the entire show was like the imaginary narrative story going on in the head of this child, Tommy whatever. Because that show had crossovers with tons of other television shows, and the fact that those shows have appeared on television in other shows, you can create this gigantic web that encompasses like a large amount of television, saying that it all exists within this universe that's inside of this kid's head. But it's all the movies and the martial artists. Yes, exactly.
Just like it's a really weird extended universe, because like we've on the one hand we've got Bloodsport, on the other hand we've got Prometheus, and this is I think encompassing centuries worth of life. I still haven't seen that movie. I'm so much more interested now. This is great.
Prepare to be disappointed, but
so
Excuse
what you're telling me,
I think I'm going to have a great time. I love martial arts movies. I don't care how good they are.
So making sure we have it. There it goes. Aleister Crowley.
Well, no, it goes Golden Dawn, Secret Chiefs.
Yeah.
Create the Golden Dawn.
We go back further. Hermes Trismegistus.
The Corpus Hermeticum. Agrippa, Secret Chiefs,
Bacon.
Yeah, bacon,
Roger
lettuce,
Bacon.
tomato.
No.
Wait, sorry, off track again.
God damn.
Yeah.
Swedenborg.
Irregular Freemasonry, Aleister Crowley, Michael Bertiaux.
This wraps around both sides of the planet, though, because like on the one hand, the one branch went from Hermes Trismegistus into Crowley and all of
and
that,
Bertiaux and everything. Oh my God! Wait,
we have Shorinryu in Japan. We have Shaolin in China, which is where that came from. Shaolin came from a monk in India, but where those exercises originally came from was Egypt.
Oh my God! Wait,
and guys, this leads to Mortal Kombat.
Guys, Bloodsport, the union of East and West occult tradition, comes together in the 1988 cinematic masterpiece Bloodsport, where the two hands start. They One went from one end of the pyramid and the other went to the opposite, and they wrapped around the entire planet to come together to Jean-Claude Van Damme punching people. Guys, Magick is wild.
Everyone was so focused on what the eye of the pyramid was doing that no one was asking about what its hands were getting into. It was
what the hands were doing
it
were
was
getting
open
you in the
hands
throat.
whole way.
Oh my God.
Oh, beautiful.
I really think we've solved reality with this one.
Oh, I'm so glad we stopped thinking. Oh man, we had such a good time talking about all of that we didn't even get to the modern tradition that I wanted to talk about. So I think we will probably get Brookehouse on the Patreon later to talk about this, but just to give you a bit of a teaser, it's the work of a Mr. S. Rob. What's the S stand for? I don't know. I guess we're going to find out. But they wrote the classic occult martial arts text entitled, oh shit, where'd it go? Oh
Oh my God, he's a master of ninjutsu too.
no.
Hit the whole damn book.
The Martial Artist Book of the Occult, with the wonderful tagline, occult powers for unfair advantage in any fight.
Well, he's going to have an unfair advantage of having big muscles and a girlfriend. So, like, they're going to give something.
So if you're interested in hearing from that, you can go over and find that on our Patreon very soon. And that'll give us a good excuse to have Brookehouse on again. But now, to wrap up the show, it's time for our palate cleanser. How goes the work? Brookehouse, would you like to tell us how your work's going? I think you already touched on it a little bit. You said you were trying to get back into doing Tai Chi.
Yeah. So once upon a time, when I was studying Tai Chi very actively, my school had this chart, and it was each Tai Chi posture and its corresponding symbol out of the I Ching. This was very cool, but I had no idea what to do with this information. Since then, I have moved across the country like 4 different times. I cannot find this piece of paper anymore. So I started buying books about Tai Chi and I Ching, primarily because of a passing reference to it in the 13 chapters on Tai Chi Chuan, which is a seminal 20th century work on Tai Chi. It's very interesting stuff. And it's like he talks about it a little bit in one of the chapters, and then there are entire books that go deeper into the material. And this is very fascinating stuff, and I am just barely scraping the surface of it at this point. But we talk about the I Ching a fair amount in the Discord. It comes up periodically.
Oh yeah, big fan.
And I've got a couple books that are just related to the I Ching hanging around, and I find it interesting material. But now I'm like, one of the things that Changman Ching talks about in this book is like he does not use it for divination, and he's actually gone very far out of his way to separate that aspect of I Ching from Tai Chi in his own practice. Because there's Wu Chi, there's Tai Chi, there's like the one, the whole, the all, and then it separates into 2. It becomes yin and yang, and then the 2 become 5, which are the 5 elements. The 5 elements turn into the bagua, the 8 trigrams. Those turn into the 64 hexagrams. It all becomes the 10,000 things from there. It's just like kind of looping back to the beginning of the conversation, talking about how you start from the great big thing, and then you start to compartmentalize down from there to narrow down what you're looking for. If you are looking for your car keys and you live in Chicago, maybe you don't start in Algeria.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a similar kind of thing. And so, this is part of the Taoist worldview. I am not a big master of this sort of thing. Like, it's one of those things I have in passing because of the martial arts, because I studied Asian bodywork therapy for a bit, ages ago. I have some familiarity with it, and it's kind of always there in the background. It's not my primary focus, so I am far from an expert. But in this book, he was talking about, the way the elemental application is applied to martial arts, to certain movements, to certain weapons. And this was really interesting, and so I'm looking at the I Ching again and how it applies in these different ways. And I'm going to figure out where it goes from there. Basically, this is an alternative way to get into I Ching for me personally, instead of just looking at it from a divination practice. Like, it's not intuitive the way tarot is, or like tarot has its intuitive applications where like sometimes you do a reading, you're like, ah, yes, because I know all of these things about symbolism within this card, I can identify this, that, and the other thing are the problem. Whereas sometimes, like, Josephine McCarthy has this reference of how she kept getting the tower card showing up in her reading, and then the tower on this place that she was working on fell down. Like, oh, well, that's straightforward. Like, sometimes it's kind of literal.
Very literal one.
Yeah.
The fool.
Yeah.
What does that mean? I'm gonna go on a journey, and then I walk off a cliff.
Yeah. It's just like sometimes the fool is not someone at the start of a journey with big sparkling eyes and kind of a naive attitude. Sometimes you're just an idiot.
Yep.
Like, that's it. I Ching is considerably less visual, or rather, like the visuals that are present are very nuanced. One of the
and as Westerners, it's just something entirely divorced from our baseline cultural understandings. It's like everything you know about it, as far as like the symbolism of it, is sort of a learned dialect.
Yeah, and Da Liu talks about how I Ching even developed into what it is today, and this guy basically was just left alone with the practice for way too goddamn long, and so he was playing with it not just as an explorative thing to explore the concepts that had, I think by that point, already been built in, but he started using it as a predictive tool. And just like, doing his readings and then taking notes and then like noticing how that showed up as like, oh, when this pattern appears, this seems to be happening in reality around me. That's how it develops into a predictive tool. The book is in the other room. I would cite names for this, but I cannot remember. Da Liu is the author on this one, if anyone is interested. DA_LIU.
We will assume that that's not an AI hallucination citation. So
we will hope.
I was going to leave that one alone.
Tai Chi and the I Ching.
Hell yeah.
So I'm starting there, or like that's been one of the focuses lately. I have the typical weekly practice of talking with the ancestors, and lately this has been, I've ranted about this a bit on the Discord. One of my cats died. And so, like, that has been massively impacting the work that I do right now, which is basically just like, maybe don't do a lot of work. Maybe just kind of sit and process your feelings, because sometimes heavy feelings have impacts in other places. And, like, you're better off taking care of the injury rather than trying to function as if there is no injury.
Totally.
And so, this has been, we were talking about the cat distribution network. This was my cat distribution network event from 13 years ago. And, it's been a massive loss in my life. He's been a major source of home. As I've moved back and forth in the country, he has been a fixture throughout. So that loss has been really hard on our household. And his little brother is still with us, and he is trying to do his damnedest to make up for the absence. But it's a big hole in life, and it's going to take a little while to work with. And so, checking in with the ancestors and just asking them to, make sure he's got a warm lap to sit on. And then just like in between all of this, there's also like, I go on Blue Sky and a meme pops up like, hey, did you know that cleaning is part of spiritual work? And then I listened to, was it Phoebe Hildegard and Professor Porterfield? They did a live on Instagram recently, and they spent like half of it talking about like, clean your fucking house. And then I picked up a completely unrelated book. It was stuff on Frigg from Norse mythology. And it's like, hey, you know what? You should clean your house. Like, Jesus fucking Christ, fine, I'll go do the laundry. I've been sad, so I haven't been taking care of the household shit like I should be.
But
It's
still,
much
that's
easier to just melt into a puddle and lie there. So yeah, it feels like the universe is now kind of creating the coincidences. Just like, hey, sweetie, you gotta go clean your room, okay? Like, I know it hurts, but you gotta attempt a little bit of normalcy. Just like the sads will alleviate a little more easily if you are not living in squalor. So,
Yeah.
go do the fucking laundry.
I'm glad you're at least being coaxed into getting back to some level of all rightness. I know it's tough. Pets are hard. Pets are real hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just a really sad one, because like all it does now is that I'm thinking about this
No,
new kitten that
you're
I'm
not.
dealing
Stop
with.
it. Stop it. Stop the
Oh,
thinking. We're not thinking.
You're right. Bimbo.
Well, I know, like 13 years ago, when he and his brother showed up, they're from the same litter. They are definitely brothers. 13 years ago, when this cat showed up, right around this time, I got this intuitive thing, like, you get 13 years with this cat. I'm like, 13? That seems a little short. Surely this is just an intrusive thought.
Ooh.
And this thought has come back to haunt me a couple times. And in a way, it's actually been kind of nice, because every now and then I'll like stop and do the math and be like, you know what? Whatever I'm doing right now is not nearly as important as his demands to sit on my lap and smooch. So like, we have definitely, like, it's 13 years is way too short. 20 would not have felt like enough, but it was time very well spent. And I got that warning, and there's no indication. Like, literally, we got to this year, and I was like, he is in great health. Nothing seems to be wrong. It probably was just an intrusive thought that's been haunting me for 13 years, because I've got that kind of brain that does that sort of thing sometimes. And then he fell asleep on the bed by my feet. We were all in bed, all four of us. And I was up on my laptop. I'm noodling around with stuff. I start getting ready to go to bed, and I realize he's gone. And it was out of nowhere. And it was not like, he slunk off to a corner to die by himself. Like, he clearly died in his sleep. He was in the exact same position we have seen him contentedly snoozing in for years. So it hurt. It really sucked, but it also felt like, the universe warned me so that when it happened, it wouldn't be a complete shock. And it was just literally a voice in my head 13 years. And it was 13 years ago. So I didn't want that to be true, but it ended up being true.
And that's just how it panned out. That's fucking crazy. Ugh.
Yeah. And and it's little goofy ass shit like this that is like, okay, well, I guess magic is real. So like
there's always just enough that when you're ready to hang it up and be like, no, this is all like nonsense, weird psychology tricks and stuff like that. And then something will happen and you're like, yeah, we live in a magical universe.
Yeah.
But it's got to be really heartbreaking, and I don't. It's having, we've all, I think, once you get into adulthood, you've lost at least one pet, and it doesn't get easier. It's never one of those things where like, oh, I've lost pets before. It's fine. It's just, oh man, now I get
wow,
to
I didn't know I could hurt like this. That's a new one.
Whoa. It's either, oh man, it's just like when this happened, or oh no, it's a completely new type of hurt. But I'm glad it seemed like you're starting to come around for, it's because grieving is part of the process and it just has to happen.
Yeah.
But you do find the foothold at a certain point where it's like, okay, I do have to go forward.
Yeah, and like it's been 3 weeks since he passed, and he was my buddy for 13 years, and we spent a significant chunk of every day hanging out together, particularly in the last few years. So like 3 weeks after that much time, like of course I still feel like garbage. Like
yeah,
I'm not gonna bounce back from this in a week. He's like, all right,
fine.
well, let's go to the shelter and see if they got anything. Yeah. Like I'm cool, everything is fine. Like no, this is gonna suck for a little while, and that's fine. That's what it's supposed to be like. Like, it doesn't close up just because it feels bad. It closes up because you've taken the time to let it close up. It works very much like a physical wound that way, actually. And giving yourself the space to treat the wound, regardless of whether it is psychic or physical, is kind of just what you gotta do.
Truly, getting a cat is the ultimate delayed death touch.
Truly,
From the
truly.
universe. From the universe. It's like, oh, wow, this is really gonna hurt eventually.
Like, I don't want to dwell on this too much because this is so fucking heavy, but also people don't like talking about grief and death, and this means that we also live in a society that is starved for conversation on this. We need to be able to talk about it a little bit.
Yeah.
And like, part of this conversation is
go
also
ahead.
just like, it sucks, but also like, I am so fucking happy I got to have him in my life. Like, this was such a gift. It was 13 wonderful years. He was so much personality, and he was a wonderful presence. And everyone you know is going to die, and
Maybe
you're
everyone
gonna have to
you
deal
know.
with it.
Well, no,
Fair.
actually, no, because you know me and I'm not dying. I already worked it out.
Well, okay, so one of us is gonna die first. I guess it's gonna be me in this case. But
No
like,
question.
loss happens. Loss is going to happen, and it sucks.
Yeah.
But also, like, part of the reason it sucks is because it was also really good. And so, like, and this is
Yeah.
ranting to my husband about this in the early days. It was just like, it is my divine right to feel pain over this. I am gifted with this pain. It is a pleasure, in a sense, to feel this loss because it means I lost something awesome.
It means that
And
it
it was
mattered.
never going to be forever. It was always going to be impermanent. But look at this presence that was in my life, who was so fucking great and had so much personality, and would just like walk into a room and be like, "Hi, I need to be on your lap right now. It's very important." And just like his entitlement to my personal space was just such a hoot. And it's just like, I miss it terrifically. And I am so glad that I got to have that experience of just loving a tiny little person like this. He was a really, really good friend. And to grieve that loss is kind of wonderful.
Damn, that is heavy.
It's beautiful.
So how goes the work for you guys? This is the work that I'm sorting through. How's your work?
No, it's like, honestly, I'm inclined to let you go as long as you want about this. It's totally fine. If there's more, if you got more you want to say about it, please do. Because this is, it's like nothing I'm gonna say is gonna follow this up. I'm just trying. I'm mad. I'm just mad I can't get the death touch to work still. Been trying it all week because I knew this episode was coming.
You gotta, like, so you start with a bucket of beans and you plunge your hand fingertips first into it, and that's how you practice that impact sensation. You just do that like 100 times. Your fingers
What
are
kind
gonna
of
be
beans?
wrecked. Just start with dried beans. Like, you want to start with a relatively large thing, and then I think you move up to like sand from there. I wouldn't do this with gravel. I'm pretty sure gravel is just gonna fuck your fingers up real good. Like, I don't think it moves.
No, now we're
properly.
back to breaking bricks with my face. I got it. Okay. Everything's a circle.
What if I started with like baked beans? That feels like that feels like low impact. Well, because I'm left-handed,
like, if you just
right?
want to like get yourself built up to the idea of like plunging your hand into something, like start with gross and then move on to painful.
What's gross? It's delicious because then I plunge my hand in and then I get a snack.
Then you get to lick it off your fingers.
Yeah, exactly.
Do not lick your hand after the death touch, people.
Get poison in your mouth.
Man, I licked my hands after doing the death touch and I lost my sense of taste. It was awful.
My mouth got all tingly.
It's like when you eat celery, and your mouth just gets all weird and tingly like that.
Exactly.
All right. Well, co-host, what about you? How goes the work?
Oh, I'm dealing with that problem that you get where okay, I'm not even gonna make a joke. I'm dealing with that issue where there are a lot of synchronicity sort of things going on, all relating to a sort of very central theme. A lot of stuff, particularly with the Hanged Man of the tarot, and I'm seeing it in certain places, and I'm seeing it enough that it's like, okay, I see the pattern. I'm trying to identify where I'm really going with it. I think I know what it's about. It's just more of like doing some ritual stuff to try to solidify it and see if it goes anywhere. Nothing super crazy to report. I've been doing some stuff with the Burroughs cut up method. That was actually part of this. I got a new mantra out of it, which is kind of funny. But I think I really do think that there's something useful about breaking language up in a way that it can still carry a lot of those unconscious associations and suggestions while allowing you to not consciously apprehend them. So like cut up stuff can be good for that. And then particularly if you're looking for like a mantra or something that's going to carry certain ideas. But nothing exceptional. I won't lie and say that the cat thing that's happened over the past couple days isn't really firmly fixed in my head right now. So there's and then I think oddly enough too, Burroughs has quite a fascination and love of cats.
Writers always love cats.
Yeah,
It's true.
and I am
Fitzgerald, Hemingway, Pound.
Yeah. But and then part of that is probably just because of all the Burroughs rattling around in my brain. But
Bukowski.
Bukowski?
Yeah, Bukowski loved cats.
Really?
Yeah.
Doesn't okay.
But you know who he didn't love?
Who?
Burroughs. No, it's a fact. He really liked Burroughs, and then Burroughs didn't want to meet him at one point when like they were in the same place, and he got so mad that he pretended he hated Burroughs.
Oh yeah, I remember now. I remember.
Yep.
Yeah.
Bukowski gets all in them feels. But sorry, continue.
No. But like I said, there's the Hanged Man thing. There's a lot of Burroughs. Those two things are related, and if you read a little bit, or if you read certain Burroughs, you would understand why the cat thing happened. Nothing, like I said, nothing super heavy or crazy yet, but I do think that there is something useful to be understood about the dying and resurrection motif, but also understanding the Crowleyan interpretation of it, of the idea of like what the Hanged Man represents and what the formula of the dying and resurrected God represents, not in the old world, but in the modern, or in really what Crowley meant was in the Aeon of Horus. But and at least in this, even if you're not a Thelemite, you can say, what does the motif of the dying and resurrection mean in our modern sensibilities and our modern understanding of things? And I think that is part of what I'm trying to unravel with what's been going on. And then I guess also in a way, maybe the cat can fit into that because that's new life, you know?
Okay.
I'm gonna throw it out there just for funsies. There's something of the willing suspension of the Hanged Man. Like, this is a dude he's clearly suspended, but he doesn't really seem to be distraught about his circumstances.
Oh, like in the Rider-Waite Smith, he's smiling. Yeah.
Yeah, and then like in a lot of images, I can't remember if this is pretty universal or not, but like his hands are doing something behind his back. We can't actually see all of what he's up to. So like he's suspended, but he's working on something in the background. And so like things aren't moving, but that doesn't mean things aren't moving, you know?
The symbol in the Thoth deck of the Hanged Man isn't suspended by a rope. He has a serpent coiled around his feet, which I think is that's almost a too easy symbol. You know what I mean? Of the idea of like well, what's the kundalini as the serpent that rises up, or that sort of thing, or even the snake as the knowledge bringer, or even for whatever reason, I've always thought about in the Book of the Law, where it's when I raise up my head, I and my lady are one, and when I stoop, I spray venom. It always produced this serpent image in my head. But yeah, the idea of the suspension of the hanged man being a necessary and a conscious step. Alan Moore always, and I'm sure he's not the first, but he's the one that sticks on my head. He equates the hanged man with Odin, as in the idea of hanging from the tree for the 9 days, that sort of thing. Of that, it wasn't, oh boy, I'm in a pickle now. It was, no, I'm doing this for the purpose. I'll hang myself from this tree to descend with knowledge, that sort of thing. And that's a lot. I don't remember if y'all were there for I know Kennedy was, but when I went off on the very, very tips of the iceberg for my Minotaur fiasco, and I listed off like 5 different things that are like, this happened, and that led me to this idea, and that led me to this idea. That's when I know I'm kind of in that sweet spot, when I can start throwing the associations out like this and this and this. And it's like, what do they mean? I'm not 100% sure yet, but they're pointing, they're creating the mosaic, as it were. When I'm able to pull out a little bit and see the whole image, there might be something useful there. All right, that's enough about me. Kennedy, what have you been up to?
I got a kibber cat sitting on my lap, and because of all the talk, I'm just gonna let her lay there and give her scratch on the belly. That's what my work's about right now.
That's quite fair. One of my remaining cat, I almost said one of my cats. My remaining cat came over, and he's chilling on my lap, and he's purring, and this little asshole likes to lick clothes, which is a very strange sensation when you're wearing the clothes. Just like, God damn, stop licking my sleeve, you weirdo. What is this? So weird. And he just purrs. He's like, hi, I love you.
Yeah, that's what she's doing.
I've started putting a folding chair next to my recording chair while I'm doing this, because my big boy will hop up and just hang here with me. Like he was here for most of the episode. Now he's looking at me wondering why we haven't gone upstairs yet, because it's midnight, and it's like, that's normally when you're upstairs.
Oh,
what are you doing?
Well, I guess we should wrap this up to meet the demands of co-host Cat. So with that, this has been Chaos Magic News,
the only podcast that is actually a delayed death touch. You have 5 seconds.
And with those 5 seconds, you might be able to check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I guess not really. We're on Blue Sky.
We're getting on Blue Sky. Blue Sky, Blue Sky, Blue Sky.
Where we post a spicy meme or 2, clips from the show, all that wonderful stuff. You can find the rest of our episodes right in the same place that you're listening to this one now, I'm sure. Or you can find us over at chaosmagicnews.com, where we'll have the occasional article, links to the pods and any of our interviews, and pretty much anything else you could possibly want from us. Unless, wait. I don't know, maybe you got like $5 maybe? Does that $5 sounds like a good
smackaroons
number. And what would $5 possibly get you?
If you had a crisp Abraham Lincoln that you would want to send to us, you would get access to all of our sweet, sweet Patreon bonus content. Right now, we're working through the occult iceberg, going tier by tier. We just finished up the 3rd tier. We're about to jump into the 4th tier. And then also we're doing the occasional, we'll do an iceberg, and then we'll do something else. We've got one coming up where we go through the very first chapter of Aleister Crowley's Magic Without Tears and give a little bit of commentary and our thoughts while we go through it. It talks about the definition of magic, or at least how Crowley defined it. And it's one of those things where we get to be a little more, we're always jokey goobers, but we get to really have some informative ideas, at least with this one.
Yep. So
if you do feel like giving us money, you're going to get the most heartfelt and humbling of thanks from us right here.
Thank you, Liz. Thank you, Local. Thank you, Cios93. Thank you, Pope Loki Satyr the 23rd LLC. Thank you, Obsbleck. Thank you, Coco. Thank you, Alexander. Thank you, Acolyte 1 of the Ice Magic Meditation Society. Thank you, Cursed T. Thank you, Fyodor Krasny. Thank you, Venus Christ. Thank you, Tent Athena. Thank you, Bearded Vegan. Thank you, Treymov. Thank you, Tangy Darling. Thank you, DD Destruction. Thank you, Toziel Obscurus. Thank you, Lavender Ghost. Thank you, Tommy Kelly. Thank you, Equinox Painter. Thank you, Patty D. Thank you, Clodvis. And thank you, Cyrenex. Thank you all so much. You have no idea how much you mean to us.
That list is actually getting longer all the time, and I'm still shocked. Every time it's like I'll get, you message me, it's like, hey, we got a new patron. And I'm like, what?
Are
Someone
you sure? Else was willing to pay for this?
It is really astounding that people, it's like Brookehouse was saying earlier. A lot of the times what it comes down to is you will get a dedicated base of people who really do like what you're doing. And anybody, like, just because you don't support us on Patreon doesn't mean like we don't care. Like, the fact that you've gotten this far, you're still listening, you're amazing. I'll kiss you on the mouth. You can come to my house and
with consent.
Oh yeah,
only if you want.
It's amazing. But and then because then I really like seeing people on social media that have nice, like, well, I'll be posting a dumb meme and then they'll say something about like, oh hey, I've been watching your show too, and it's like, that's insane. That's really.
You're telling me that posting memes to get them to listen to the show worked?
At least sometimes. Like,
I mean, it worked more than once.
Yeah. It really it drives me up a wall. I'm beside myself anytime anybody says, hey, I liked your show, or hey, I thought this was funny. Just really, you guys are doing the most, and we cannot thank you enough.
But we also can't thank T.S. Brookehouse enough for coming on and regaling us with their expertise and lack of thought.
And and
you are our least thoughtful guest yet.
In the best possible way. If you want more non-thoughts from me, you should follow me on Blue Sky. I am ts-brookhouse on there. I'm ts.brookhouse on Threads and Instagram. I'm trying to get away from Meta because they're getting real sketchy with their terms of service lately.
Yep.
You can also find my voice occasionally on Harrison the Ghost. It's a short animation by Jimmy LaPointe. He's on season 3, episode fucking 15 now? It might be past 15. Woo. Anyway, I show up on there periodically, usually as a white lady or a white coded lady, which makes sense because I'm very, very much white, and I get to sound like just like the most awful blue blood you've ever met. I have a Patreon.
Gotta look that up right now.
Yes, it's wonderful. They're so goofy. I have a Patreon. I drop links to that in the Discord periodically, and I will soon be posting Royal Road links. I've got a story I've been trying to coerce myself to actually make public. On my Patreon, I'm posting this story. I have this other story that I've been working on for a while, and that one is Patreon exclusive. I am doing audio recordings for that too. This new one, I'm going to start posting early chapters to Patreon, and I will be posting public chapters to Royal Road, and then I've got a scheme in mind where I'm going to be recording that one live on Twitch, and then like as a practice run, so I can, hang out with whoever wants to listen to me reviewing the stuff. And then I will be doing clean recordings for Patreon as well. So there's my show.
It's delightful. You should go.
You're
check
gonna do like a live thing?
Yeah.
Please tell us when.
I absolutely will. I will definitely need people to come crash the chat while I'm doing readings, because like I'm starting from basically nothing here. I'm trying to make myself create when I am myself actually. Like, seriously, go harass me on Blue Sky, because I do not know how to engage in social media anymore. I left those days behind me like a decade ago. So like, I have no idea how to talk to people on the internet.
You just post memes and post memes and post memes. And when a meme does well, you just start throwing out links to the other stuff you do.
And that puts pressure
that
on
sounds
you.
Really effective. I feel like I've seen someone do that somewhere before.
Co-host, we should steal that idea.
That's a
Brookehouse
really good
likes
idea.
it.
I was just thinking that. Okay. All right. Okay. Well, the only thing left to say, I suppose, is thank you again, everybody, for listening. Brookehouse, would you like the last word?
Perspicacious.
That's so much better than anything we've ever gotten.
It's pretty good. Pretty good.
Clear-sightedness. Clear-sightedness. If you need a good word of the week, there you go. Be clear-sighted. Be perspicacious. It's fun to try to say, too. I just tripped on it. Clearly, the bimbofication of T.S. Brookehouse has
been
worked.
a success. Yeah.
Yes.
Smashing
All
success.
right.
Thank you,
Okay.
Chaos Magic News, from saving me from thinking.
All right, folks. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening. We have to have you back before the next 23 episodes, though. But because we need to have you hanging out more. But I'm so excited for the next one, though, because that'll be episode 69.
Yes, I know, right? I was like, oh,
So
motherfuck.
pumped.
Yeah.
So pumped. That will be the one where we finally we just read monster fucking porn and just comment on the magical import of it. Like, all right.
No, like I started that Minotaur-ish theme one that time. I know I sent you guys a link to it, and I got partway through. I got like 6 pages in or something, and then just completely forgot about it. If I can finish that one before episode 69, I will read monster porn I have written.
Oh my god, this would be fantastic.
Well, that'll help us. That'll be great because then we can do our transition of like selling smut to support occultism. It'll be great.
There we go. There we go.
It's
Like,
really right there.